Hello and welcome to Geekverse Side Quest, your weekly stop for video game news, reviews, and more. I am your host, Dylan Muss, and today I'm joined by your friendly neighborhood caster, Kirklin Patzer. You don't have a specific nickname for this episode, just Kirklin and then add Kirklin Patzer.
Yeah, I wasn't even thinking about that, honestly. I don't know. I'm going on a side quest here. I'm
I
deviating
thought
from
you'd
my
have a
usual nicknames.
Sifu-related nickname. That just
I
seems
didn't want to
to
just
fit.
take like the Sifu or something like that, like the one master.
Yeah.
I wanted us to be equals here. Maybe we
enough.
could be. I could be one of two Sifu.
Sure. And I'll take the other half. Yeah, for the perfect Valentine's Day combo, for sure. Yes, this is Geekverse Side Quest, our new weekly video game podcast, which is pretty exciting. Kirkland, on a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you that we have like a weekly video game podcast now?
This is amazing. I feel like this is something that we probably all wanted, like since the beginning, just like a dedicated show for gaming. I think we're all fans of gaming. You are like the perfect person to be leading this show because you're a font of knowledge when it comes to the subject. I miss just having like summers off, spring breaks off, winters off, so I could just like go ham on video games. My time for video games is a lot more limited nowadays. I guess it's just part of being an adult and growing up. But nonetheless, I still just love the idea of video games, even if I don't have as much time to play them anymore. I just love the subject, and I'm so glad that now we have this platform where you can just be the captain, lead us away on whatever the subject is for the week. And there's so much good gaming like nowadays. I feel like it's just getting better and better, and it's fabulous. I love it. It's something beautiful.
It's a good way to justify all the hours that I spent on a weekly basis playing games or playing just like old games again, playing new stuff, the hundreds of indie games I play all the time. So it's a lot of fun. But yeah, so this week we're going to be talking about the Nintendo Direct that happened on February 9th, which is just a banger of a Nintendo Direct. And then we're going to be reviewing Sifu as well, if you can tell by the background if you're watching on YouTube. So it's going to be a fun episode. Let's get some intro stuff out of the way. Join the GV Discord. That is the place to be these days. We're posting, like, someone will always post whatever news thing is going on, then we talk about it kind of live with the fans, so that's always a good time. You can go to our Patreon to get episodes early and ad-free. Join our Facebook page, Twitter. We have an Instagram, right? I've never used Instagram, but I think we
do have an Instagram. Yeah, Taylor. We don't. It's not as pretty as some of the other Instagrams on there, but Taylor is nice and consistent. He always posts,
Nice.
what our episode dropped, and he's nice and consistent there. So yeah, go check us out on Instagram. But definitely the Discord is the place to be. There's a lot of great people in there. A lot of great conversations. Tons of different channels, whether you're into Book of Boba, whether you're into Obi-Wan, spoiler chat, stuff like that. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, you can follow Kirklin on Twitter at Kirklin Patzer. You can follow me at Dylan Muss. And I shouted this out last week, Backloggd without the E, and that's just a website to track what games you're playing, things you're interested in coming out, the games you're currently playing, that kind of thing. S-Bubs and Fanboy Clay have hopped on there, and we're all following each other now. So whoever else wants to join, get it on the Backloggd. It's a fun place to be. And thank you to Amanda for the amazing music. And yeah, so here's the what to expect for the next few weeks. Next week is Horizon Forbidden West review. The week after that will be Elden Ring, and the week after that will be Triangle Strategy. And then Out of Mana Episode 8 is coming out probably next week sometime, or maybe 2 weeks from now, somewhere this month for sure. So you got a spicy month of video game content. If you're playing Horizon, or if you aren't, and you have any questions, topics, thoughts, your quick review that you want to share, send it to us, whether it's in the Discord or in the YouTube comments, 5-star iTunes review, send it to me on Twitter, whatever it is. Wherever you send it, I'll find it, and I can include that in the episode. And I think that's pretty much it. I wanted to shout out one other thing. So Kirkland, where are you with the Wordle? Have you played Wordle? Are you into it? Do you play it? Were you like, do you try it once and you're like, okay, cool, I'm out now? Are you sick of it? Where are you at with Wordle?
I really have no idea what Wordle is other than just these weird images on my screens. I think I had an aunt on Facebook that was posting them for a while, and I'm like, I don't know what this means. And then I started seeing them on Twitter, and now I'm just seeing them everywhere. Yeah. And I feel like it's that thing where
I think it's hit the point where people are sick of it, right?
Well, I feel like I'm just stubborn, and I see things like that. I'm like, I'm just not even gonna interact after that. I'm not gonna learn what this is. I'm just gonna be like that old person that's just bitter about seeing these Wordle things.
That's fair.
No idea what it is.
I wanted to shout out this game called, I don't even know how you pronounce it, Dungleon, Dungleon, and it's essentially just one of the millions of Wordle clones that exist out there, except it has like a daily dungeon that you're trying to solve. So it's this exact same setup as Wordle, except instead of letters, it's just like there's like little symbols. So you have your hero symbols, your enemy symbols, your like treasure and stuff like that, and you're just trying to figure out what the daily dungeon is. There's a couple more mechanics than Wordle too, but yeah, I'm kind of bored of Wordle now, and this is kind of another fun. Once again, like something you do in like a minute, and there's kind of some cool mechanics there. So I figured the gamers of the world would like that. So check that out.
Well, what even is Wordle? Can you explain it like 10 seconds?
Yeah, have you played Mastermind, like the board game, or essentially?
I've heard of it.
Okay, well then, essentially, yeah, you're just each day there's a new word that's 5 letters long, and you are just trying to figure out what that word is. And so if you put in your 5 letters, you guess your word, and then it'll tell you if you have any letters right and if they're in the right spot or not. And then you're just you have like 6 guesses to try and get the right thing.
I see. Okay.
So yeah, Dungleon just does not roll off the tongue. Whatever it's this it's the same concept as that, except instead of letters and words, it's just like skeletons and like archers and shit like that. So it's a fun version of the game.
Nice.
Before we get into the Nintendo Direct and Sifu, I wanted to quickly look back at our video game draft. So at the very start of the year, me, you, Taylor, and Travis did the 2022 video game preview that we do every year. And then this time we also did a prediction. We all drafted 5 games that we think are going to, 1, come out this year, and 2, are going to review well. And then whoever has just the highest combined Metacritic score at the end of the year is crowned the winner. And I don't think you get much for being a winner other than you can get bragging rights, I guess, which is worth something.
It goes a long way in the GV.
It does. Yeah, I mean those comic book drafts, like whoever I've won it before, you've won it before. It feels good for like the next year to be like I was the winner.
Absolutely.
Of that, draft.
Exactly.
But anyway, we have some data points now for this because you and Taylor have had some games that have come out. So Taylor drafted Pokemon Arceus, which we reviewed last week on Side Quest. But yeah, Pokemon Arceus, a lot better than I expected. I will give him that. And it, as of today, is scoring at an 83. So that's pretty solid. That's a good start.
That's a good healthy number. It's better than like getting a delayed game. So I feel like there's some that I guess we'll bring those ones up when we get there.
We will. So and then you've drafted now 2 games. One of them is Sifu that we're talking about today.
Yes.
Next one is Horizon, which I think the reviews dropped this morning. So that is officially the game's not out yet for the public, but the reviews and stuff are out. Now here's the thing with Sifu. I didn't write down which version of the game you picked. I'm guessing you would have just gone with PS5.
I think I did PS5.
There is a 9-point discrepancy between the PS5 and PS4 version. So, like, it kind of matters what version you pick. But looking at the PS5, that's sitting at an 80. And then, like I said, the PS4 is at a 71, and then PC is at 78. So, with just that game,
drop.
No matter what, and more reviews get added over time, so these numbers can change. But you would be just below Taylor. But then you're swooping in here with Horizon, which as of today, obviously it's still very early on. It's sitting at an 89. That's like not that. Actually, that's still, how many reviews is that on Metacritic? Okay, there actually is a lot. So yeah, you're sitting at an 89. So that's pretty solid, really close to a 90. So you're in first right now.
Yeah, no, it feels good. This is already a good month for me too, because my next one is also Warhammer, which comes out on Thursday, and that was looking pretty good. I'm not sure if it was Metacritic that I saw some scores on, but I saw one that was at least a 9 out of 10. So hopefully, the video game rating gods are on my side.
Rethinking my strategy. I feel like a good strategy is pick games that are announced to come out in like January, February, because then you're getting like guaranteed points, even if they get delayed. Like they'll probably still come out in that calendar year. And
exactly.
if I get one game delayed and you just picked 5 of those like mediocre games, like your numbers are probably still going to be higher than mine. So speaking of that, Suicide Squad, which was one of my picks, which I think was the only pick of mine that wasn't like from my heart. It was like, okay, I got my Starfield, I got my Redfall, but I think Suicide Squad's probably going to do well. And unfortunately it got delayed. So I mean, the year is long. Maybe that somehow ends up coming out this year, but it looks like I'm already at a pretty big deficit, unfortunately, on that one.
Yeah, no, it's you can't always go with your heart. There's only limited games that you can actually go with your heart. I don't want to get too confident though of just like these games that are coming out early. Maybe I'll get a healthy lead in the beginning, and then I'll just kind of forget about it. And then September, October, November comes around, and there's supposedly some big hitters coming around that time. So I just love doing these drafts, whether it's the video games or the movies one. It's a fun, like a fantasy football league or something like that. Track around with the fellas.
We love doing our drafts, and then the last potential data point is that Travis picked Mario Rabbids, the Sparks of Hope. I don't know what the full title of that game is, but that is rumored to be delayed. I don't think it's officially delayed yet, but I think it was like a Bloomberg report or something like that, which is a pretty good source. I would have to confirm this information, but the year is young, so we will wait and see. But Travis and me might be batting 4 games out of 5 here, unfortunately.
Which doesn't put you out, there could be a really bad game that I picked. Hopefully not.
Yeah, the only one that's like a real wild card is like that Star Wars game that Taylor picked. I just don't know about that one. But like, if it comes out and it's a 60, that's 60 more points than I'm getting for Suicide Squad. So there you go.
That's a lot of that's a healthy chunk. When you're going up against a delayed game.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, you with Warhammer as well. Like, you've got some guaranteed games. So that's nice.
Yes, feels good.
So yeah, that's kind of catching up on our draft. So it's fun to have some early data points. But let's get into this Nintendo Direct now. Kirklin, right before the cast, I don't know if this is like you admitted it, but you told me that this is the first Nintendo Direct that you've watched, like I guess from start to finish. Obviously, you've watched trailers or bits and pieces, or not the Spark Notes. But what did I guess I can't ask you how does this compare to other directs for you? But watching this one, like, what did you think? Because it is 40 minutes, but like it moves pretty fast. There's a lot in there. What did you think? And do you think from now on you'll be like, oh, I'm definitely checking these out from now on?
Yeah, no, it was
just kind of wait and see what the announcements are and then go back.
It was a great show. I don't have much to compare it to, but I really liked the pacing of it. Honestly, it was just going game to game. The host was fun. Their little Nintendo Switch sports game that they play together. I was just like chuckling to myself. I thought it was absolutely hilarious. But yeah, all in all, it was a great time. Literally the first Nintendo Direct I'd seen. I feel like it's something I never thought I would just tune in on. They're not too long. 40 minutes is a healthy chunk. Like, I just was kind of eating breakfast while I was watching it, so that was nice. And yeah, no, I think also just the games that were actually shown in here, it definitely made it amazing. We'll talk about each one probably, but like Mario Strikers and like all the footage that they showed off, it just looked absolutely amazing. And yeah, it was really, really fun. And I love that they don't like the only thing I really have to compare it to is like Summer Games Fest, Video Game Awards, E3, right? And a lot of the time in those shows, there's just a segment that I'm just really not vibing with. But in this, because it's so condensed, it's just 40 minutes. Like, they're not trying to advertise anything. It's just Nintendo doing their thing. So I quite enjoyed it. I can't say I'm going to be just, checking out all of them, but I know you will be. And usually if they're worth watching, you'll mention it. And then, it's something that I could definitely see me putting on if I'm just like, I don't know, at my computer eating food or something, and I just want to watch something. So yeah.
Yeah, what I like about their presentations is that they don't really ever go into like these, a 10-minute sequence where they're just showing one game. Like, they'll announce a game or show a game's trailer, and then they'll say, okay, we're going to do another direct for this game alone, where you get this big breakdown. And so I like that it doesn't bog it down. Like that Nintendo Switch sports thing that they showed, that was like the longest sequence they had for one game. And maybe that was a touch too long, but like, it's not like they do that for every game. Like, they do move along pretty well. So I don't know where I'd compare this. I just feel like this one had a lot of stuff that spoke to me on like a very personal level, rather than like if I were to look at it objectively, and some of the announcements maybe aren't as big for everyone. But Mario Strikers obviously is just like a Geekverse staple. So obviously the Direct gets like a few points for me. But I mean, I thought from start to finish, even the games that I wasn't super into, there was just a lot of great announcements here, and something for everyone, which is usually what they accomplish. So yeah, let's get into it. And we will go through this in order, but we got to talk about Strikers first. We got to jump. We got to skip ahead and talk about this. Mario Strikers Battle League is announced. I didn't write the release date because I'm dumb. I tried to write them for all of them, and somehow I forgot that. I think it's June 10th, though, right?
Yeah, I'll look it up.
But yeah, so Mario Strikers Battle this is the third game in the series, and yeah, if
June
anyone
10th, you're right.
June 10th. So if you're new to Geekverse or maybe you just haven't heard us talk about this, we are just huge Mario Strikers fans here. We've done a lot of like kind of battles against each other. We've done like content for it, which spun out into the Gauntlet. We talk about it all the time. We're always wishing for it, and they finally showed it off, and it looks really good. Like they've kept the original style, the kind of gritty like art style that the original games had, and just the atmosphere of it. And then they've added some new stuff and like online functionality and all that. So were you as hyped as me, Taylor, and Travis were on this one?
I was definitely hyped. I feel like I just don't have as much like nostalgia with the game as you guys do.
Yeah, I guess you've never probably owned one yourself. Right?
No, definitely
Yeah.
not. Like the first time I had played them was definitely like in the Gauntlet or something, and then just playing against you guys that have just all this training time throughout years. I was just like a knave compared to you guys, but no, like it's great. I love soccer, and this is just Nintendo.
Yeah.
Just turned up the the level quite a few notches. But no, it's so much fun, and I think everything that was showcased like feature wise really like pushed it over the edge on like just
Mm-hmm.
awesomeness, like the battle league. That is so great, especially just in this era where maybe we can't all get together and just sit down and play couch co-op like strikers or something like that together. Now we can play it online. We can have our actual team. I love all the customization with the characters. I just feel like there's so much replayability showcased in this game that we would probably be playing anyways, even if there wasn't extra like features on, I don't know, customizing your character
Mm-hmm.
to try different play styles or anything like that. We probably would have been playing it anyways, but all of that is just extra sugar on top. So it's
Yeah.
it's awesome. Uh, Very surprising too. Like I didn't hear any murmurs about this or anything, and
Yeah.
now it's just, oh, here's the release June 10th. And yeah, it looks absolutely fantastic. Staying very true to like what the original was, but just expanding it. And yeah, no, this is so awesome. I'm so glad it's not like 2023, because I feel like that would be something I would expect is like, oh yeah, that's so exciting, but it's just so far away. But actually having a date in mind now, and
Mm-hmm.
everything they showed was just absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I think they really nailed it. Like, so yeah, the GameCube one, I've always been more a fan of the Wii version, Mario Strikers Charged, and I think it's probably just because that's one I owned, and I really didn't play much of the GameCube version. Like early on, I kind of only played it more recently. I
Hmm.
think they're both great games in their own right, and they have different features to them that stand out. So I'm interested in the gear because for me when I played Charged back in the day, I really like the single player of that, like playing through and trying to beat the Grand Prix or whatever the cup, whatever it's called. It was like challenging. I don't think I ever actually beat like the final boss was like PD Piranha, and he would just destroy me because he had all these powers. And so I've always liked the single player, and that's why I think the gear is interesting, where it'll add some intrigue to the single player. Hopefully, I'm guessing you can use the gear in single player. I think for multiplayer, you probably won't use that stuff just to keep things nice and balanced.
Right.
But maybe there's a character who's like feels really weak, and then you can use gear to artificially make them a bit stronger and make them as good as the rest. So I'm interested to see how that's utilized in the game. But I also really like that the gear is visually on your character. Maybe you like a nice clean version of your character, but then you can always just turn your gear off. But I like that you have these like big chunky helmets or big like
Yeah.
shoulder pads and stuff like that. And it actually, I don't know if there's like tons of variety there. Like you either have a helmet on or you don't. Maybe it seems like, but that's still cool to me. You got at least some customization in how your character looks, which is not something that the first two games had in any way. So that seems like a good addition to me. Here's another big change that I caught was that in the first game in Mario Strikers on the GameCube, you would pick your captain and then you'd pick your kind of minion characters, and I'm pretty sure that you had. I'm pretty sure that was it was the same character, right? Like you'd pick like Birdo, for example, and then you'd have three Birdos on your team as your like other people on your team, and then I could be wrong. Maybe you could pick individual ones, but for some reason I'm thinking that you could only choose which one you wanted. Because I
Yeah.
remember that in Charged, that was something they changed, or at least something that's I remember doing is like more strategically placing your characters somewhere, so you could
Right.
have a Hammer Bro, and then you could have a Dry Bones and have a Koopa on your team. And it seems like they've just kind of done away with that system entirely, and instead every character is like the captain tier character, and you just make a team of what would normally be like, so what I'm saying is that like Dry Bones, Birdo, Koopa, Hammerbro, like those kind of characters don't seem to be in this game at all, and
Right.
instead you just have a team that would be like Mario, Luigi, Daisy, Peach,
Yeah.
instead. So that's interesting because always like those captain characters would have special moves that they would have access to, or they'd get like special items that only they would have, and like Koopa wouldn't have a special item. So I'm wondering if now like everyone on your team has access to those kind of more powerful items and strategies, or if it's only your captain still. So I don't know. I know maybe I haven't gone deep on strikers as I have over the years, but like, what do you think about that change overall?
Yeah, I'm interested in just balance wise, but I guess if both teams have access to all of that, like it is balanced in a sense there. I just feel like their games are going to be even more crazy. Something with like strikers is just it's so aggressive. So like you're basically just spamming abilities. So if every player on the field has access to that stuff,
it's a combat sport.
Yeah,
in this universe.
Absolutely. It's going to be crazy. I hope it's not just like too much at periods. I don't know. I don't want to get like frame drops in a key period of the game. You know, there's just absolutely crazy effects going on everywhere. But I don't know. On the other side, it's really cool that you can have, especially when they're leaning so much in the sense that it's going to be like online oriented, of having like actual like what is it 4v4 I think, or
yeah, it's
5v5,
and you can have 8 players playing locally, which is Smash Ultimate did that. It's really cool. I'm glad that I don't know if they'll ever have the opportunity to do that, but even like a 3v3 is something I could see us doing at Geekverse, like or online. Obviously 4v4 is cool, but yeah, they added just that to it as well. So rather than just being like a I don't know. It always worked better as a 2-player game than a 4-player game. So I don't know. The 8-player mode is going to be very chaotic, but it's
going to
cool
be
that
chaos.
it's in there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, I mean, just in that sense, it makes sense that all the players will be able to have access to crazy stuff, and it's gonna be a crazy game. Yeah, I'm curious if they're gonna have like a stress test or something for the online.
Yeah, hopefully, and we could play a little bit early and try it out.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be lots of fun.
The characters they showed off in the trailer, playable characters, there's 10 of them right now, which is interesting, right? Because if you have 8 players at all times and you don't have those minion characters, like, you're going to get pretty used to these characters. It's not going to be like, oh, I've never really seen, I don't know, Daisy on the field before.
Right.
Like, you're going to get pretty used to everyone pretty quick. But they had now Mario, Luigi, Yoshi, Toad, Peach, Rosalina, Bowser, Wario, Waluigi, and Donkey Kong. Nothing really unexpected there. No, like, surprise characters. I think to me the big omission is Daisy. Like, she's kind of the Mario sports character to me. Like, she appears in all the games. She's been in both the Strikers. So I hope they show some more characters over time. Especially like I was saying, if you're always gonna have 8 of them in the game and there's only 10 total, like it's good. You'll get more used to them, but maybe you'd want some more variety too. And then like Dry Bones and Hammerbro were my favorite sidekicks to have, and so I'm a little sad that they're not in there, but hopefully, like I said, we see more characters. I mean, they've done that like Mario Tennis and Mario Golf. They added new courses, characters, and stuff, and modes even over time. So I'm sure we'll see the same thing for this game. Plus, it's a few months away. I'm sure they have some extra, tricks hidden up their sleeve on it to show us some more stuff. Any characters you're really chomping at the bit to see?
Not really.
Did you have a favorite when we've played?
My favorite's just always Peach. That's usually my go-to Nintendo character, and yeah, she's basically the main staple. So I can guarantee that she's going to be in there. No, I like what you said. I can definitely see them just adding more characters down the line. Very, very easy to do. Whether they want to do the DLC route or just the free LC route, which I think they would do. But yeah, and then the other thing I was going to ask actually was for the goaltending. Is it always just like the same crocodile guy that they had before?
in Strikers and Charged, it was the critters is what they're called, which I think is a Donkey Kong enemy, right? But then it's funny that Donkey Kong enemy took the place of the goalie. And yeah, they've been fired. They've been kicked out, and I don't even know who this guy is. Just some other Mario guy. So honestly, I'm a bit sad about that. Like, I think it makes sense. It is a Mario game, and Donkey Kong and Mario obviously always kind of quantumly entangled. But I'm gonna miss the critters, man. And
I'm gonna miss them too.
They had the perfect goalie aesthetic too. The giant hands, like
they're so good
bodies.
too. Oh my gosh, they're fearless. They would dive right at that ball.
I thought that'd be kind of cool. Like if you could maybe pick your goalie and you had 2 options, and they kind of had, like, maybe this goalie's a bit quicker, but then is a bit smaller, or the other one's like a bit slower and then can reach a bit further. Like that could be
Yeah.
an interesting corkscrew on the Formula 2, but it looks like it might just be these one new goalies. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I always love customization, like team wise, but I think out of anyone to have just like a standard type character, it's probably the goaltending,
Mhm.
just to try and make it as balanced as possible, because there's already going to be so many different variations in
Yeah.
the midfield and everything like that. So yeah, no, I'm just so excited to just try out different builds on the different characters and
Yeah.
see who's good here, and like it's probably good to have like a nice healthy balance on your team, right? Like have a heavy, then a speedster, nice agility character.
Mhm.
So that's gonna be so much fun, just kind of testing out those different elements.
And one thing that I can't recall seeing this in the trailer is that whatever your whatever team whatever four characters you have on your team, like the opposing team can't have those characters as well. So we'll see what
Mm,
happens with online. That could be kind of finicky, where it's like, well, if someone you know loads into a game as Mario and then someone else does, like you would think they'd both get it, but I'm
yeah,
wondering if that's like if there would be like a drafting phase where you like pick
yeah,
characters back and forth, because I'd be down for that strategically. I think that'd be cool if you could like try and scoop up all of the fast characters on your team before the
right.
opponent does or something. So we'll see what happens there, but I'm guessing they're going to make it so you can have duplicate characters and they just have a different color scheme. That would make
Yeah,
sense to me.
I would imagine so. Because the only other option is the draft route, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
And I could see a draft route, but I feel like there's not that many characters.
Yeah.
So it might be weird, especially the only time I've seen like drafting phases, they usually have like pick and ban phase, right? So like would they be
Right.
banning out
Who are you
different
going to ban?
characters?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, man, I'm so excited to just see like the almost if there's like a triangle element of like the rock paper
Sure.
scissors
Yeah.
element is what I'm trying to say. Just like different characters really hard counter other ones, and yeah, I'm curious if like the meta shifts through different patches and things like
Yeah.
that, or if it's just like very stagnant for when it comes out. So very exciting stuff with the
Mhm.
release of this game.
Yeah, I think that's more or less all I had to say on. I guess the other thing too is in this trailer, I think we only see one map. Maybe there's a second one. I think generally when I play strikers, I don't like the ones with hazards and stuff. But
Yeah,
like for single player and stuff, that adds a fun wrinkle to it. Where like now you have this map where your characters are getting blown off the map by tornadoes and stuff. So and even just for the sake of variety, like Rocket League style, make the map all the same and just change
yeah.
the stadium to get some variety. I'd be down for that, but we didn't see any of that. But like I said, game's coming out in June, so we have a few months yet, and so I'm there's got to be more that they're hiding. I would be surprised if they didn't have any more characters. Like if it was just those 10,
Yeah.
I at launch, I think I would be not disappointed because I think I'll probably still really enjoy just getting the chance to
Yeah.
play some new strikers. But to me, that would seem a bit low, and for maps as well. Hopefully, we have a few in there to pick from.
100%. Yeah.
You know,
And
I don't know
maybe
if they'd
even
have
down the
10,
line.
like every character having a home court. That might be a bit much, but even like 5 or 6 would be good.
Well, I was even going to say, like, maybe down the road they do something like I mean, we're going to talk about, but what they're now doing with Mario Kart 8, right? Of just maybe
Yeah.
releasing the old maps from the previous Strikers games. That could be really fun.
Yeah, we'll see. There's a difference between this game's sales and Mario Kart 8, so we'll see what kind of
Yeah.
support it gets. But that's actually one more thing I should mention is that the first two games were made by Next Level Games, which was not a Nintendo studio, but actually Nintendo did buy Next Level Games recently. I think it was last year, might have been 2 years ago. They made Luigi's Mansion 3, and they've always made like Nintendo games, but they actually bought them in their first party studio now. So it kind of makes sense too that they picked up Next Level Games and they probably got them immediately working on Strikers. So it's great
Yeah.
to have the original developers back. So hopefully, yeah, that obviously is probably part of the reason why they kept the original styles, because this studio is probably happy to like go back and make this game that they haven't made since 2009 or 10. I don't know when Charged came out. I remember playing it a lot on the Wii, so it probably came out early in the Wii era. So a good
Yeah.
while ago now. It skipped to the Wii U, and I don't think there's ever been a handheld one as well. So yeah.
Yeah. I love too, just like the, not really rebranding, but just not doing like Mario Strikers 3. Like it has a
I
whole new
love the
title.
name.
Yeah, Battle League,
I
and
love
it,
the name.
it's so fitting for what we're gonna be playing this game
Yeah.
for. Is the Battle League. So I love it. I love
Mhm.
the cover art. I think that
Yeah.
is basically the same style that they had in the
Yeah, the
original, if I'm
really
not
thick
mistaken.
outlines.
Yeah.
Kind
Oh,
of gritty
awesome.
and like almost like comic book style a bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Fantastic.
Awesome. Yeah, so there's Mario Strikers Battle League. You can pre-order it now if you want. I think I might get a physical. I want this one on the bookshelf that
Yeah.
I don't
Oh, yeah.
own, but
Especially with that art style we were
yeah,
just talking about.
it's
Being
so
able to
good.
look at
Yeah.
that. Come on.
Yeah. Okay, let's take a quick ad break with that, and then we'll come back and we will crush the rest of this direct. So yeah, we'll be back in 1 second. All right, Kirkland, let's go through the rest of this direct. So we'll go from the top now.
'Kay.
Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes was what started out the direct. I know that we talked about this like last year. You were playing Fire Emblem Three Houses. Where are you at with that? Have you finished your first playthrough? You still working your way through? Where are you at?
No, I have not beaten it yet. I got stuck on one of the missions where I kept redoing it, and I think I was just doing it so much where I was just getting so frustrated to the point where I actually just like restarted and made a new save. So my first one, I went with
okay.
The Red Eagles house. I think we talked about it. You did that one too in your first playthrough.
Yep.
And then my second one was with the Blue Lions, and I just love the different play style of the different houses. How
Yeah.
one is more focused on like the nobles and magic users, and then the other one is more like knight users, which I had never really used in a Fire Emblem game before. I feel like I always just shied away from that and just went for the super OP magic users, and
Yeah.
just very different play styles, and also just the characters are really interesting. They're different.
Mhm.
They're different. I don't know, motivations and just personalities. So, but honestly, I absolutely love that game. It's definitely one of my favorites. I think I still have Awakening as my number one. I just absolutely love the story of that game. I feel like it just really caught me off by surprise.
Yeah.
No, Fire Emblem's awesome though, and really not too interested in what this is.
Yeah, this is the sequel. They made Fire Emblem. I think it was just called Fire Emblem Warriors a few years ago. It was on the 3DS, and I think it was Wii U originally, and it is ported to the Switch, so it is playable on there. And it's been on my wish list forever. It is like never gone on sale, which is strange because I don't know how many like what the sales are, but like I've seen Breath of the Wild go on for greater sale than this game. So so this is I guess it's a Warriors game. If you don't know what that is, it's a Muso style game. So that's like Dynasty Warriors or Hyrule Warriors that they've done a couple iterations of now. This game though, instead of the first Fire Emblem Warriors, where it's just characters from all sorts of different games, with I kind of think a focus on Awakening. It came out shortly after Awakening and has a lot of Awakening characters in it.
Yeah.
This one is just all about 3 houses. It's I guess a continuation of the story, but obviously as you've noticed is that the story goes different ways depending on what house you play, and even one of the houses kind of has like different routes you can go as well with like story choices. So it seems like they're maybe just picking one and making it canon for the sake of this game.
Yeah.
So I'm not entirely sure what's going on there with the story. And then there's even some new characters that I saw in here that were not in the main game as well. So they're adding some new stuff to it. Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you. I'm not excited for this. I just every few years I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try another Warriors game. And I got Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, and I played it for like 4 or 5 hours, and I was like, this is just not my vibe at all. I don't like this. Didn't end up finishing it. Very grindy. Just not doesn't have the love and care that like a lot of other games have, just in terms of the environments and I don't know, just the depth of gameplay. And I think this one, like, I still would prefer to go back to the first Warriors than this one, just because I don't want just characters from this one Fire Emblem game. Like, if I want that, I'll go back and do the third playthrough of 3 Houses.
Yeah.
I prefer just kind of the big crossover event that was the first Warriors game. So I'd probably go play that one before I play this one. Hopefully that one goes on big discount now that this game's coming out. But yeah, just a bit bummed to see this. I mean, there's a lot of other tactics games coming out this year, so I'm not like, man, I need a new Fire Emblem. But I was expecting that we were getting a remake soon here, or even just like a porting the Path of Radiance game from the GameCube over to the Switch. But haven't seen that yet. Instead, we're gonna get this. So I'm a bit bummed. It's coming out June 24th. But yeah, it doesn't sound like either of us are gonna be picking that one up.
I was almost relieved because I was like, well, fuck, I'm not even through 3 houses. I don't want to be
Yeah.
pressured to have to cram through it so I can get ready for the next one. So I got some more time, play through it. But
Hmm.
yeah, I definitely will be checking this one out. I never played any of the like Hyrule Warriors or Dynasty Warriors.
Dynasty Warriors, yeah.
Yeah, Dynasty Warriors. Sorry, and yeah, no, I never tried them. I don't know I saw some gameplay. It just didn't
It's
really
just like
seem
the
like my
one
thing.
versus 1,000 kind of
Yeah,
setting where you're just slashing meaningless mobs, and then there's boss fights and stuff. But yeah, it's very button mashy, very spammy. Does not take very much skill. Very anti Sifu, which
yeah,
that
exactly.
game we'll talk about later. Yeah, and then what else I have to say about that? I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, not too hyped on that one. Let's move on. So. They Advance Wars 1+2 reboot camp was announced last year at I think their kind of E3 thing. It was supposed to come out in the fall. It ended up getting delayed, and it's kind of just been in limbo. No one knows when it was coming out. Now they gave it a new release date of April 8th. I don't think they really showed too much new. They probably showed a couple new levels, maybe a new unit or something like that. But this is a remake of games that have already been out. So I don't think there's anything too new or surprising there. You're going to get what you're going to get, and it's coming out April 8th. So obviously you're a fan of this genre of games adjacent with Fire Emblem. Are you interested in this game at all?
It looked really cute. I liked all the art style and the different characters that they're showing off, like the different commanders. I think
Mm-hmm.
I think it could be like lots of fun to play through. But just because I have selective time with the games that I play, and
Yeah.
I already have, like you said, a pretty adjacent genre type game, and more so than just that. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I probably won't be checking this out. But I also had never even heard of this game before. It was. Yeah, when did it originally come out? Like quite a long time ago, eh?
Yeah, the first two games came out on Game Boy Advance, so
Oh, okay.
early 2000s. Like I think the first one might be
Yeah.
2001 or 2000 itself. And then I think there's maybe been one, maybe there was a third one on the DS or something like that. But it's been dormant for a long time. People have been demanding it come back. People have been wanting the character from this game in Smash, things like that. But honestly, for me, like I would rather. I've been trying to find a Game Boy cartridge for this. Like I want to play this on Game
Mm.
Boy Advance because I love the pixel art. It looks amazing, and obviously like this genre. So I'm kind of more keen to go find the cartridge for a game, which will probably still be comparable in cost to this, to be
Yeah,
honest, because
probably.
that's not a cheap game. But yeah, I honestly I don't really love the art style. Like I think it's
Yeah.
fine, but I love that pixel art from the Game Boy Advance era. So yeah, I think, but I don't know. I just love this genre so much, and I've always needed to play Advance Wars as a big Fire Emblem fan and War Group fan. So I might end up splurging on this one. We'll see what happens. How I'm feeling in April when this one's coming out.
Right on.
Next was a game. So No Man's Sky is coming to the Switch. Me and Kirklin reviewed this game years and years ago when it came out originally. Which I think if you go back to listen to that, it'd probably be a very outdated review. Like the game has changed so much since then. But I got to be honest, the Switch version did not look great. The frame rate,
No.
the quality. I think this is not where you want to play. I don't think this is where you want to play No Man's Sky.
Yeah, I guess if that's your only console, that might be
Yeah.
good because you can finally get to play the game. But no, that is a game that has just completely changed from its initial release, which is absolutely awesome. I
Hmm.
loved when they're showing the game off in this one where it's like explore like a densely populated universe, which is like many characters. I'm like, man, that was not my experience the first time
Yeah.
I played. So it's
That's
just
how they
funny how
advertised it back then, but it wasn't the
yeah.
case.
Yeah, I mean, I love that they stuck to it, and actually made those changes and made it the game that it is now, which is again completely different what it was at
Mhm.
launch. And yeah, I guess if your Switch is the only console, it's good for you. You can finally get to play the game. But I still got it on my PS4, which actually it's got a free upgrade for PS5, which is even better.
Nice. Yeah, I think I would like. I have been meaning to go back and play it, and I did try and go play it on PC, and it just like was not opening. There's like some weird patch you got to do that's like not through Steam. It's really sketchy. So I think it maybe is like a wait for Game Pass and then
Yeah.
hop back in and see what I've missed, kind of game. Next was Strikers. We talked about that. Then after that was Splatoon 3. I think the kind of highlight of them showing it here because they've shown the game a lot and they didn't even have the release date here. But they wanted to highlight the Salmon Run, which I guess is the co-op mode for Splatoon. Looks fun. This trailer is very trippy. Like just the visuals, the music is like, holy shit! It's like an LSD fest. It is crazy. Which Splatoon, like when I played the first one back on Wii U, it was a very like it seemed like a very tame, kind of kid-friendly, colorful, fun third-person, lighthearted shooter, and it seems like it's just gone off the rails in terms of story and the world building. And I really respect it for that because it's a Nintendo game and it kind of goes. I mean, it's not like too dark, I guess, but it is pretty intense. It's like post-apocalyptic now,
Yeah.
or maybe it always was. I don't know. What would you think of the showcase here? Because I guess if you haven't watched all the directs, then maybe this is the first time you're seeing Splatoon 3. So what do you think?
Yeah, it is. I feel like I've only seen like I saw someone streaming Splatoon 2, I think when it came out. That was my
A
only
game that's
real
had a
experience.
really like long, life. It got a lot of updates for years. Big
Yeah,
like
that's
big
awesome.
sales. People love it. Yeah.
Yeah, and when I watch the streams, I'm like, not for me. And then my only other experience would be, the Inklings in Smash and stuff like that. But I I don't know, when I watch this, I feel like if I was like a youngin at this time in this time period, and I was I was playing this game with, I don't know, my sibling or something, this could be lots of fun. It looked really, really intense. I completely agree with everything you're saying to describe it. It just, I'm like, holy fuck, this is like Apocalypse Now type like vibes, what with Inklings and just these little, I don't know, dirty creatures coming out of the lagoon. It looked really intense. But the gameplay, like, it looks really unique, but I just can't really see myself buying this or playing it. But no, I think it was fun to show off the co-op mode because, like I said, I could definitely picture a lot of people, if you have, I don't know, siblings or something, couch co-op, play the co-op mode in this. I think it could hit really well for that audience, and yeah, but I just probably won't ever touch it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. I really liked the first one, and I mean, I think as a competitive game, I was getting into it. Switches or the Wii U at the time was weird because it's not really like integrated voice chat and stuff like that. And I think if I had some friends that were really passionate about this game, I would happily pick it up and get into it. But I just don't have anyone who plays it personally, so I'm gonna pass on it. But I'm really glad it exists. I think it's a great. There's not a lot of games quite like this on the Switch. I mean, obviously the style and actual gameplay is very unique, but even just like this online kind of competitive focused game, but then also has co-op and also has single player. Like it's just a great series that I'm glad to see is still just getting its third game here. It's trilogy already. I think we'll see. I think we'll see this game for years and years to come. I think we'll keep getting new ones and updates for the previous ones.
Right on.
Next up was another remake, Front Mission First remake. I think this is the first time we've seen this. It's actually, well, the first and then the second game as well. I don't know. I don't know where these games came from. Like I haven't played them before. I haven't heard of them before. But it just looks like a very classic tactics game with mechs. It looks really fun. I'm into it. I think I'd wait and see what the price point is on this. If it's like a cheaper game, I could see myself picking it up. There's also a ton of tactics games coming out this year, so I feel like I can only take so much of that, especially when I did another, 50-hour playthrough last year of Fire Emblem, so I need to pace myself. But it looked cool. I like the art style. And one funny thing to me was there's like a little dialogue sequence in there, and there's this guy who's like, "What's wrong, Karen?" And like this character named Karen's like complaining about something. I don't know if they like intentionally thought about that, but I thought it was pretty funny. But yeah, I think this game looks great. I think you're probably still working on Fire Emblem, but what about this one? Do you any thoughts on this?
Yeah, it looked really cool. I like the customization aspect, how you can get like different guns and stuff for your mechs. You can like target the different sections of the mechs, I guess, to, I don't know, dismember it or something like that. So the combat, it's nothing out of the ordinary that I've seen from tactics games before, but just with like mechs and stuff, and I think it could have a really interesting story. It's one of those I think came out like, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like the 90s or something, right? When this originally came out in like whatever console they said on the direct. I'm like, I haven't even heard of that one.
95, the year I was born.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
95.
crazy.
That's insane. On the what system was this even on?
It was one I had never heard of before, unless
Well,
I'm.
okay, I guess there's a DS version as well. What was the
Oh,
first one?
okay.
It must have been PlayStation, I guess. Super Famicom, PlayStation, Nintendo DS, Switch. Okay, so they have all of them in there. But
Okay.
yeah, PlayStation
Never
and
mind.
Famicom originally. So holy shit, that is a lot older than I thought. And man, I also
Yeah.
those original graphics, they just look like the first Roller Coaster Tycoon. I want once again, I want to go play the old one. I love pixel art, and I think this remake looks great. But man, I just love I just love a isometric pixel art game. It really
Yeah.
does a lot for me.
That's awesome. Well, there's some other games that we'll be talking about that
Yeah,
it has that art style, but
yeah.
yeah, no, this looks cool, but like I mentioned, got Fire Emblem, got that
hmm
Midnight Suns game whenever that comes out. That's
I think
that
that's
other
in the
Tactics
summer.
one.
This is also in the summer,
Yeah,
so yeah, I might get double it up there. I think I'd go for
exactly.
Marvel Suns over this one.
Mhm.
Marvel Midnight Suns, I should say. Moving on. Okay, Disney Speedstorm. I think this was a little bit of a surprise. This is a
Yeah.
Disney themed kart racer. Somewhere in between CTR and Mario Kart in terms of gameplay, I would say. Like it looked a little bit more, like a little bit trickier or more frenetic than Mario Kart, but not quite as fucking impossible as CTR. Even though I love CTR, this is also coming out in the summer, and this is going to be a free to play game that I guess they're going to add
Ooh,
stuff to
interesting.
over time. So I'm guessing a lot of that stuff over time is going to be, here, give me $5, you can play as Mike Wazowski or something like that. We'll find out. But what did you think of this? I mean, first of all, visually, like it's pretty solid. Like the graphics are pretty beautiful for this one. But I mean, it's free, so obviously I think we'll be checking it
Yeah.
out. But what do you think about this?
I actually didn't see that it was free, so that's a surprise and very exciting. I think this is a great idea, honestly. Why just have Mario Kart and CTR? Like, let's get some
hmm
other properties in there, and
Yeah, there
it
was a
looks.
Nickelodeon one. I think last year or the year before.
Oh yeah, that's right. Never heard much about that one.
I played a couple in Dreams on the
Oh
PlayStation.
yeah.
So shout out to Dreams.
Shout out to Dreams. But no, this one looked honestly pretty crazy. It looked very fast paced. Very very just intense. I'm very curious, just balance wise, how it feels. Because they're showcasing how maybe Mulan is more agile.
Mm.
You have Saul from Monsters Inc. just absolutely like a tank.
Did you
Um,
say Saul?
I think I did say Saul.
Please
What's his
don't
name?
tell me you think
Sully.
his name is
Sully. Oh my
Saul.
gosh. Oh my
Oh
gosh.
my
I'm
god.
recovering, okay? I'm recovering.
You
I'm
been
still
watching
sick
some
in the
Breaking
head.
Bad or something?
Yeah, better call Saul.
Saul.
He's a
Saul
Disney
and Mike.
character,
Yeah.
right? But no, just like the different play styles that the different carts and the characters would have. I saw Jack Sparrow in there, and just the amount of characters that Disney has access to. I think this has a
Yeah.
lot of potential going forward
It
because
it
really they could
does.
have anyone. They could have Star Wars characters. They could have Marvel
Well,
characters.
that's what I was gonna ask because like I think the rights for Marvel and Star Wars in video games differentiates it from like their movie rights in some way.
Okay,
So I don't know because we in this trailer we didn't see any Star Wars or Marvel stuff, and that would
no
be a huge like here's the Marvel
seller.
update where you
Yeah,
get like the Avengers in the game and a helicarrier flying like that would be cool, but I just don't know how the rights work for that.
right.
And I think I'm maybe a bit concerned right now. I mean, free to play, it's cool. I'll check it out, but from what we got in this first trailer, there was not a lot. Like there was Sully, Jack Sparrow, Mickey, Mulan, Donald Duck, and Goofy that I could see. So that's 6 characters. I didn't see any more. I'm sure there'll be a few more at launch, but just like not a lot. And then I mean, there's a Pirates of the Caribbean map which looks great, and then there was like a jungly map. I don't know what property that's from, but once again, that's the only 2 maps I could pick out that were different in this trailer. So I may be a bit concerned like how much content's going to be in here at launch and how much they fork stuff in at like a higher cost. Now, if there's like here's a fast pass that you can pay that's like $20 and you get like all the content and there's like a bunch more stuff that comes out, then of course I'm fine with that because it's a free to play game to start with. But
Mm-hmm.
I may be a bit concerned about how much we're gonna get at launch here, and if it's just like 6 characters, like that's pretty measly with a couple maps. Like you need more
Yeah.
variety than that to get people on board to want to stick around for when new content comes out.
No, absolutely, and especially if it's on the Switch, a lot of people probably already have Mario Kart, so it's like, what's the point of
True.
moving over to
Yeah.
this if it has bare minimum content, especially with what's coming around the corner for Mario Kart? That's pretty exciting.
Ooh, good pun. I like that. um, Okay, a couple more. So Star Wars Force Unleashed is coming to the Switch. Assassin's Creed Ezio Collection. I feel like every direct there's like a new Assassin's Creed game that's coming to the Switch. So they're just doing their thing slowly. And Kingdom Hearts too. I'll say that now. They're every direct they just have one new collection or game that's like getting ported to the Switch. So good for you, Taylor. You can play. I don't know if he'll actually. I don't know if he actually picks these games up. Like I don't know if he needs more Assassin's Creed on the go, or if he's like, I got them all already on my Xbox,
Yeah.
like I'm good there. But there's obviously like a younger audience that's maybe never played these games, and so that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
SD Gundam Alliance was another one that looks cool. I don't know. I think this was maybe a remake or a remaster, or maybe it's a new game. I'm not too sure. Just kind of speeding through those. If you have anything to say, stop me. But the next one that stood out to me was Chrono Cross Radical Dreamers Edition. So this is something that's kind of been rumored for a while, or maybe even leaked. Not necessarily the Radical Dreamers part, which I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. Well, you probably wouldn't know this, but just people in YouTube comments or something. So Radical Dreamers, I think, was like maybe there was Japanese exclusive content or something, or maybe like an add-on. I don't know what, but something like that was only in the Japanese version, and I guess that's coming along with this version. So now you can play Chrono Cross, which is maybe up-resed in a couple ways, and maybe some like improved button settings or something like that. But it looks like the old game. But then maybe got a little bit more content in there, whether that's a couple new characters or new music or something like that. Or I think that was something they mentioned was like remastered music. So kind of a remaster, but staying true to the old one in its art style and its vibe. That's coming on April 7th as well, so right around the Advance Wars time. And Kirklin, I know we also talked on Out of Mana a while ago. We talked about Chrono Trigger that you were checking out. And I'm guessing, but I'd love to be wrong here, I'm guessing that you never really went back to Chrono Trigger.
I wish I could surprise you here. No, honestly, it was the type of game where I was loving everything I was doing in it. The story was absolutely not what I was expecting, so that really just surprised me. I love the art style. It was done by Akira Toriyama, which is the guy that did like the Dragon Ball art and Dragon Ball Z, so that's absolutely amazing. But no, that one hurts me that I haven't revisited, because honestly, I loved everything that I was experienced on it, and then just for whatever reason, I just stopped one day and haven't been back to it. But what's the relation to like, is this just the original, and then they made a new one, Chrono Trigger?
So
are they related?
Well, Chrono Trigger's the original, and then this was the sequel, but it's not really I think it's maybe in the same world. I haven't played the original Chrono Cross, I guess I should mention. It's in the same world, but you don't play as Chrono and the gang. Like, it's a whole new cast of characters and a whole new story, and there's maybe the events of Chrono Trigger are alluded to, or maybe this is like before Chrono Trigger or something. I'm not exactly sure, but yeah, it's like, I don't know, it's weird. It's in the same universe, but it's not a true sequel to the events of the first game and those characters. So yeah, I think this is one that you could probably pick up without playing Chrono Trigger. You should play Chrono Trigger because it is one of the greatest games of all time. I played it in 2020 for the first time, and it is one of my favorite games ever. Like, it holds up. It's everything Kirkland mentioned, plus like has the best video game soundtrack of all time. I'm gonna say it's a bold statement, but I'm going there. The combat's great. The way it plays with time. You're going to these different areas. We'll talk about that. There's another game that kind of looks like that in this direct. Chrono Trigger is great. And Chrono Cross, it's been on my backlog since I've played Chrono Trigger, and I think this is probably the time when I'm gonna jump in with this Radical Dreamers edition. Seems like a good way to do it, and a good game on the Switch. I think I'll just have to wait and see the price. Like, if this is an $80 game, that might be a bit tougher to pick up, when I could probably play the PlayStation one for, I don't know, maybe on like PS Now or something for like $15. So we'll see what the price is like. But I'm glad. This is cool. This has been rumored for a while. I'm glad that it's finally happening, and it's cool to see some new Chrono content, and maybe we'll get some more games in this universe, because I think it has enough following, and I think the name has enough reverence that I could see like a new game, even if it's very different from the original ones, having some success. So it's cool to see this game back in the spotlight in some way.
Yeah, absolutely. I like the other features that they're showcasing, where I think they have one where it's just you don't get like enemy encounters. So, if you just want to experience a story and not have to deal with just like
or backtracking, stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Stuff like that. That's really cool. And then there was something about this that it was showcasing like a text-based feature. Is that it was basically like it was almost like a choose your own adventure where it would like read out these things and then you like it was just text based. So it's like, hey, I want to go left at the end of the corridor, and
Interesting.
I'm pretty sure it was the Radical
I
Dreamers
have the
edition.
direct
I
on my
wasn't.
other screen. I'm gonna try and go to this part and
Yeah,
see if
like
I can catch that.
like I said, maybe I was just like, I don't know, eating, and I like didn't really hear what I thought I heard, but I thought it was like two different games, where that was like the original something, where it was just like a text based version.
Interesting.
I hope I'm not making a huge mistake
maybe that's
here.
what the Radical Dreamers part of it is.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, that's what I thought it was.
So maybe I don't know. I'm not gonna put my sound on and listen to this right
Yeah.
now, but yeah, definitely worth looking into. And yeah, I think it's because I guess I don't know off the top of my head what the original game is.
Right.
Obviously, I haven't played it, so it's hard for me to say on a dime. But yeah, this seems like the way to play it. And yeah, maybe you're getting some bonus content. And I don't know what this Radical Dreamers is, so I should look into that some more as well. Before I think if I do end up getting the game, I'll probably do a review for it here on Side Quest. So I'll do
Nice.
I'll have my research, all of my
Perfect.
T's crossed and my I's dotted for the time we do that.
Very
one.
nice.
Yeah, next was Kirby, I think was next. Yeah, so
Yeah,
Kirby
in the front.
and the Front Land, coming out March 25th, which we already knew. I think that date was already known. Maybe actually though it was announced here. But anyway, that's a big day. That's Tiny Tina Wonderland. Ghostwire Tokyo is coming up that same day, so it's a heavy hitter day.
I think Moon Knight even comes out that day, so there you go.
Oh
It's a
shit!
big one,
All
too.
right, well,
Yeah, March is a big month, so
yeah, you can play Kirby late into the night while you wait for the Moon Knight episodes to
Exactly.
come out, or that's probably what I'll be doing. So yeah, Kirby was like very high on my radar. I'm like, do I want to get this? Do I not? It's got co-op, which I'm interested in. It looks fun, and I think this trailer really pushed me over the edge. It showed like, your powers, your different copy abilities. You can upgrade them now, which I mean I think you could do in some of the Kirby games, but that's a good addition. And then the main thing they showed off here was the mouthful mode, which I'm curious to hear what you think about mouthful mode. But essentially, this is different from copy abilities, where copy abilities like Kirby always is the same little ball, but then you just have fire or sword or fighting mode. But yeah, mouthful mode is you just almost eat a thing, but not quite. You just whip your giant mouth around a thing, and then you act like that thing. So think a car, or for some reason a safety cone, or like the Moon Knight cape you can fly around with too. So very very weird, but I think Kirby is kind of a strange concept in general, and this just seems like this is cool. Like this is just more variety from the copy abilities, and you're gonna have some differences in play style. Very similar once again to Mario. Mario Odyssey kind of had a feature like this too, where you can throw your cap onto things and then imitate them. So to me, this seems like a good way to add variety. And then the other thing was Waddle Dee Town. So I guess as you're going through the game, I don't know if it's just like when you complete a level, the main town gets upgraded, or if it's based on like you finding collectibles, then things get upgraded. So we'll see what happens there. But it's cool. It's like this cute little town full of Waddle Dees that you're saving, and then as you save them, they go back to town, and maybe one will become a vendor. Maybe one will teach you how to do this new move. So I'm super into this. I think this is a day one for me now. I'm just really excited for it after this showcase.
Yeah, this will probably be a day one for my household as well.
Ooh.
Shay loves Kirby. That is the only person she plays in Smash, and she is dangerous when she's on
Alright.
Kirby and Smash. And yeah, no, it's just it's got co-op, so that's a big selling feature for us. But she would have got this already. Like the gameplay is so in her wheelhouse. Her number one most played game is Animal Crossing, and they're like the Waddle Dee Town of being able to kind of like upgrade
Yeah.
your areas. I think she's gonna absolutely love this. And yeah, that mouthful mode. As soon as I saw him just like turn to the vehicle and just like hitting jumps and stuff, I'm like, this looks so fun. And then it turns
Yeah.
into a vending machine, just like shooting like
Yeah, I
pop
love the
cans
vending
out.
machine. It's
Yeah.
so good.
It looks so fun. I think we're gonna have lots of fun with this. And
Well, Kirkland, I might have to
yeah.
hit you up for a side quest that week, and you can join me.
Absolutely. Yeah. No.
I'll pencil you in.
Yeah. Absolutely. Maybe we'll get Shay's thoughts on there too.
Yeah, she can make a guest appearance.
Absolutely.
First time on the Geekverse. Okay, that's exciting. I'm glad that you're into it. All right, next up was MLB The Show is coming to the Switch, which also, God, the graphics are fucking
Looks so
horrible.
bad.
It looks terrible. Here's the silver lining on this. I think the only Mario sports game now that hasn't come to the Switch is Sluggers. So there you go. Now you can play baseball in some
There you
way.
go.
because Mario or Nintendo Switch Sports unfortunately doesn't have baseball, which was my favorite Wii Sports game, I think. So you can play MLB The Show, and maybe we'll get Sluggers next year instead. But yeah, it doesn't look good. But at the same time, I don't know how much people are going to care about that. Like, obviously, there's going to the sports people who love to play like their FIFAs every year on their Xbox or PlayStation. But whatever. Now you have access to some baseball game, I guess. So, all right. Any to add on that one?
It's funny because I've played definitely not this MLB show, but one of the MLB the shows on like PS4, and I was just blown away on how good it looks. It's like such a great simulation type sports game, and then go into this and it just goes to the crowd. It's just like pixelated. It's like, man, this reminds me of like when you'd compare like I don't know, a PS3, PS4 sports game, and then you have like the Wii one, and it's just like, oh yeah, I think I'll just get it on the other console.
Plus, I think MLB The Show is on Game Pass right now, so that might be if you have access to both these consoles, maybe go to that version instead.
Yeah.
It is probably worthy to know. I mean, this was a PlayStation exclusive for many, many years, and it was only last year where it's still a PlayStation studio that's making this game, but they're just publishing on other platforms now. So Xbox came last year, and now it's coming to Switch. So that's cool. Now people can play this, what was originally PlayStation exclusive, on everything. But I guess that'll be a weird case where you'll probably get a PlayStation logo or something when you boot this game up on your Switch. So there you go. That's
Nintendo's not gonna like that.
Klonoa 1 and 2 are coming to the Switch. These are, I guess, platform 3, kind of Banjo-Kazooie, Donkey Kong 64 style collectathon 3D open world platform collectathon.
What a mouthful!
I don't know. That was a mouthful of a genre. I don't even know. Hopefully, you know where I'm getting to. I do not know I've never heard of Klonoa before. It looks like it fits right in there with Crash and Banjo and those guys, but never seen this before. But it seems like the perfect home for it on the Switch. Do you know what Klonoa is? Am I an oddball here, not knowing what this is?
Not at all. I feel like maybe I've seen like the main character on something before. It looked a little bit familiar, but no, I'd never heard of this before. Looked really cute. I probably won't get it. There's just too many other things out there, but yeah.
It looks like this was on... It's been on Xbox, it's been on PlayStation, and Game Boy Advance as well. Okay, so it has been in the Nintendo. I thought it would maybe look like it was a PlayStation thing that was coming over, but I guess it's been on Nintendo for a long time. So anyway, there you go. There's that one. And then Portal Companion Collection. Once again, just Portal 1 and 2 coming to the Switch in a bundle. We played through Portal 2's campaign,
we did.
co-op campaign recently on stream, and that was a lot of fun. Portal 1 and 2 are just two of the greatest games of all time. They both hold up super well. They are, well fit on the Switch, and I think these are actually the first Valve games that have ever been on a Nintendo console. I don't know if there is a counter argument to that. So that's pretty cool. I wonder if that's a sign to come to more things. I think Portal fits. I don't know if Team Fortress 2 would fit as well, or Counter-Strike, but it's cool. This is fun, and it's a collection together. Hopefully the price is right, and if you haven't played these games before, this is probably a good place to do it.
Yeah, I think it would be a fun game to play through with Shay, and she doesn't have a PC or anything, so I wouldn't have the option to play through there. So, depending price-wise, or maybe a possible sale in the future, I could definitely see myself playing through these, because I've played through both games, but it's still one that I would love to just go through again, and this would be a great excuse to do that. And 100%, one of the greatest games of all time. Just such an awesome concept, and the way that they did it was just so well done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. Just when you replay it, since they're always there's always one place you have to get to the end of the level, and there's always an intended way, but then you can always just, by fucking with the physics system and getting creative, you can just do some crazy stuff. So it's such a replayable game too. So
100%.
Who knows? Maybe I'll pick this up on the Switch again so I can play on the go and try some crazy new tricks. Next up was Live Alive, which is a old school JRPG that was only ever a Japanese game, and this is the kind of remastered HD 2D version, so it looks very much like Octopath Traveler or Triangle Strategy. And this was never localized in English before, so this is a cool thing. And the story is really interesting. This is one I was alluding to, that Chrono Trigger is kind of the same thing, where In this game, I think it's rather than one linear story, it seems like you can just pick between these 7 time eras from, ancient times to there's like a Western style, which I love the aesthetics of the Western one's great. There's kind of modern day, there's like far future, near future. So yeah, it's just like you kind of get all these different things, and it looks like you can kind of just pick like you can from day one maybe just say I want to go to Western and I want to play a Western JRPG right now. You can go do that. And so I don't know how the stories are connected. Maybe it is linear, but from the vibe I got from this was that it looks like you can kind of go any way you want.
Yeah.
This comes out July 22nd. Looks great. I think this is a day one for me. I think this looks amazing, and I really want to check this out.
Yeah, this one very much surprised me. It looked so cool, just the different eras that you go through, and just very unique stories. It seems like to each like timeline, and I love that you can just kind of choose which one you want to go. Like, no, I want to start in the far future, and like just like that's the one I want to go on. Like, you were really loving the like the Wild West era, and yeah, it's just awesome that you get that option to jump in there. And this just looks really, really cool. I love the art style; looks so good. And yeah, I loved how different each like time era it looked. It looks like the mechanics that you're gonna use are very, very interesting. Like I think the near future one where that one guy has like psychic powers or something like that. Just really, really cool. This is definitely on my radar. I'm not going to commit to a day one, but this is like this could possibly be purchased by myself.
Yeah, I'm
looks
curious,
really cool.
This is up on the Switch store now. What is the cost of this game? Okay, $64.99. So it's not an $80 game, but that is still quite costly. I think it's cool. It's a little bit more of a cheaper title. Man, just looking at these screenshots, holy shit. I love this.
1994 was the initial release. And
Crazy.
yeah, like you said, never been in the Western world.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it'd be cool too if you do have those kind of 7 timelines and you can just hop into one of them and play like a chapter or 2 of it and then go back and start from another one and just like, oh, I'm maybe a bit bored or burnt out of this one right now. I can go try something else out, and maybe there's some sort of interweaving story. I'm not sure. It's a game that I feel like is very under the radar. Like this isn't one of those games that when it was announced, like people on Twitter were like, "Oh man, I love this game back in the day. I played a fan translation. I've been waiting for it forever." Like it just, it really seems like it was a niche game that might as well be a new game as far as a lot of people are concerned. So it's pretty neat. Nice surprise.
100%.
And next up was Nintendo Switch Sports. This is coming out April 29th. So April, what is it? April, May. Okay, so it's a little bit removed from Mario Strikers. You got a little bit of time there. And yeah, it sounds like Taylor's picking it up. It sounds like you might be picking it up. Sounds like I'm picking it up. Sounds like Travis, I don't know. He's just like responding with really positive gifts whenever any of us mention that we're getting it. So I don't know if he's like, oh, I'm buying this for sure. But I think we're all Wii Sports fans. And this is a sequel to Wii Sports, which feels like a weird thing to say. Obviously, it has a different title. I honestly would have been down if they called it Wii Sports 3, but Nintendo Switch Sports makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
It's got the same aesthetic. It's even got the same menu music.
Absolutely.
It looks. What do you think of this? Are you you're picking it up? Sounds like.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to pick this up. I think I'm even gonna get like the physical copy to get that cool little attachment for I can do some kicks in my house.
You can get ready before Strikers comes.
Exactly.
out.
Yeah. No, I honestly like Wii Sports is probably my favorite Wii game like of all time. Like I absolutely love playing with my friends. I was so happy that they said golf is going to be in it. That was definitely my favorite one on there. I mean, come on, you saw my eagle shot back in the day in our sports.
That chip in, that is legendary.
Yeah, come on. But no, I loved everything they showed. I love the new sports that they have. I also love the ones that they're bringing back. I love that they said that they're going to be adding new ones like in the future. So maybe baseball's not completely out of the cards.
I'd like to see that. So yeah, right now they have tennis, bowling, Chambara, which is the kind of sword fighting one, which I think was in Wii Sports Resort.
Yeah.
Soccer, right. Badminton, and volleyball. So I think badminton and volleyball are completely new. I don't know. I don't think soccer was in Resort either. But
no, I don't think it was.
Soccer games.
Yeah.
Bowling was obviously there before. Tennis was there before. I'm really excited for the 2 new ones, badminton and volleyball. I love badminton personally, and I'm curious because tennis, badminton, volleyball are similar sports in terms of, the objective of the game, and even badminton and tennis, both racket sports where you're just hitting back and forth. So I'm curious to see like the mechanical differences in them and how they play differently.
Yeah.
But I'm really excited for them. Yeah, golf. I mean, I'm still playing a lot of Mario Golf, so I don't
Nice.
need this necessarily, but it's still like a cool addition and more courses I'm down with. One thing that stood out to me is that like they have kind of these HD Miis in there. Like these are not the janky Wii Miis, which are still used in like Smash and the other. They had like some other Mii RPG game that came out last year that was a port from a 3DS game, and they still had the old school Miis there with like some new haircuts and whatnot. But with these ones, they've gone with like I gotta be honest, it's weird to me. Like I'm so used to the uncanny, weird looking Miis, and I have so much nostalgia for them that I don't know how I like these ones that have like very much more like anime.
They're
eyes,
too real,
and like they look more like pre-teens rather than like weird adult children, baby. I don't know. Like obviously they look better in terms of quality, but something about it to me feels a bit weird. Is that just me, or do you kind of?
It's
agree?
not just you.
Okay.
There's something just like weirdly comforting about just seeing like a really weirdly designed me just like bouncing across, then like catching like the ball, and then he just like points it up in their hands just floating. It just looks so janky, but
because they're still pretty lo-fi, right? Like they're not
100%.
Yeah,
yeah. And these ones are like, ooh, I feel like they're just trapped souls now. These are like real people.
I like that. I should mention as well that they are doing an online play test. So if you're listening to this early on, when it's coming out, that's going to be from February 18th to 20th. I don't know, like in the morning or night, like when those start and whatnot. So check that out with your local time. I'm going to try to play this, and then hopefully I can report back next week. And I don't know if it's going to be all the games or if they're just like, we're going to just throw bowling in there and see how that works. And that'll be good enough for our stress test. But I'm going to try and check that out, and I'll talk about it next week. We'll see. I mean, I'm going to be playing a lot of Horizon Forbidden West this weekend, so who knows if I can sneak away to play Wii Sports. But I'll try, and if I don't, maybe you or Taylor or Travis will get the chance and can shed some light on that in the newscast or something like that as well.
Yeah.
Any other sports that you want to see get at? I mean, I'd love to see baseball, as I mentioned. Is there any other ones to you that you'd like to see?
I think ping pong. That was a really fun one
Nice.
from Resort, and I really like doing the basketball one too. Just like the 3-point contest. That's always a good one, and I could see that working. just with the emoticon or the emoticon. Jeez, the Switch remote. My gosh, I don't know where my mind was there, but
Joy-Con,
there's so many that they could add in, especially since they already said that they're gonna be adding more.
I'd love to see dodgeball. That'd be cool.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. I think Travis would absolutely love that one. Maybe that would be the pushover where he has to get the game. He loves his dodgeball.
Yeah. So I'm pretty excited for this one, and I hope it has like the the single player like test training modes. Those were really fun too. Just like how many times can you hit the tennis ball before you mess up. So I hope they have. They might have shown it in like the trailer, but that's pretty exciting that that's coming out. We got a few more here. I think I'm going to skip a couple of these, but maybe I'll mention this Triangle Strategy, which is coming out March 4th. I've talked about this, doing a review for this one, the side quest after it comes out. The big thing here was they mentioned that they're doing another demo. So the demo was playable day of, and I actually played it over the weekend. Or I played this. So there's 3 chapters in the demo, and it's a demo that carries into the full game, which is nice. Their previous one was just like a random like chapter 6 or something like that, whereas this one's now is from the beginning. And I don't want to say too much because we are doing the full episode on it, but I did play for a couple hours. It is a lot of story, a lot of cutscenes, a lot of dialogue in the first couple hours. In the first I played for about 2 hours, and in that time maybe like 20-25 minutes of that was like the combat sequences, and the rest was just like story and stuff. So maybe it's just like getting a lot of stuff set up, and then you can play with that from then on out. It's just like establishing the world and the characters and stuff. But if it's like that through the whole game, I might be a bit burnt out by the story, to be honest. But the strategy gameplay is great. Game looks great. Sounds great. So I'm excited for that one.
Right.
Anything to add on there?
No, I this and Octopath Traveler, like I love seeing like the shadows and like the effects. It's just really cool art style. It looks really, really cool. I won't be checking this out, but I'm excited to hear your guys' episode. You and Dante, I believe. He's gonna be So you guys are gonna break it down. I'm excited to listen to that one.
Let's see. Metroid Dread got a free update day of. Got Dread mode, which is a one-hit kill mode. I
You gonna be
would
playing
never
that?
play this. That sounds so incredibly unenjoyable to me. I'm glad it's in there. That's great challenge run for people, and I'd love to see like a speedrunner on games done quick, like trying to do
Yeah.
this and just like, oh god, if I get hit, I gotta restart. So it's cool it's in there, but like one hit, holy shit, there's no way I'm doing that. And then they added rookie mode, which I guess is an easier mode, which I think is good because the game is pretty challenging, even on its like normal difficulty. I think if I remember correctly, like you don't pick a difficulty at first, like it's just a default one, and then when you beat the game, you unlock another one. I could be wrong. Maybe you get two at the start, but a rookie mode's good. I think it's actually kind of shitty that it took them this long to put that in. Like that should be something
Yeah.
at launch, But hopefully this gets some more sales for the game because that game's doing pretty well for as far as Metroid goes, which is 2 or 3 million or so. And then they mentioned that this is the thing I'm more excited for. That in April they're going to add a boss rush mode to the game, so I'm really excited for that. I'm definitely going to try and beat that and see what that's like because it's got some great boss fights in that game. I'd love to do a boss rush of them, and that's kind of a standard for Castlevania games these days. I feel like Hollow Knight had that and other games as well. So yeah, some good additions. And yeah, just once again, stop me if you got something to say here. Earthbound and Earthbound Beginnings are coming out to Nintendo Switch Online. These aren't like a remake or anything like this. Just Earthbound is coming, which I think was the most requested NES game that people have been wanting. So this is great. It's finally coming. It took a while, but they finally did it. A lot of people were complaining that Mother 3 wasn't included with this, but that one has so many more strings attached. It's not even translated in English officially. So I don't know. I don't think there's anything to complain about here. Earthbound's a great ad. Finally, I'm glad they finally did it. And I don't think many people care too much about Earthbound Beginnings, but it's cool that they included that one as well. And I think, this is where I'll finally play the game. It's been high on my backlog for years, and I think I've been kind of just waiting for it to go on Switch Online. So great addition. Glad they added that in.
I totally thought this game was supposed to be Starbound, and I'm like, this is
Oh,
so
okay.
different from what I remember this game being. And then no,
That's
it hit me
funny.
that it was two completely different games, and it makes sense why they look so
Yeah, I think
different.
they started with like some game is bound for the Switch, and then
Yeah.
and they revealed it.
Earthbound, and then I'm
Yeah.
like, wasn't this already out? And I'm like, why does this look so
Yeah, it
so
was
much
on like
older?
it was on like the NES
Mm,
retro. I forget what that thing is called, but that mini NES. It was
mm.
on there, so I think people were like, "Well, if you've already done the legwork to emulate, update this game, why didn't you just bring it on like you have every
Yeah.
other game?" So they finally did it. There you go. Then there was a montage of games. I didn't really have anything to say about them. Was anything? I guess maybe the one was like they showed this game called Lego Brawls, which I don't know if they've shown it before, but it's coming out in June. It's a Lego platform fighter. I love to see this. Just like so many IP getting platform fighters these days. This one did not look great, if you ask me, just in terms of the minute-to-minute gameplay. But any thoughts on that game or anything else in that montage before the last two big games here?
No, I don't got anything
Okay.
to say.
This was maybe one of the biggest things in here was Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, the booster course pass. So this is, people were thinking, okay, Mario Kart 9 got like some rumors recently, but then no, here comes a bunch of new DLC for Mario Kart 8, which I think is the way to do it because you have already like this is the best-selling game on the consoles. It has an insane amount of sales for it, so I think it just makes more sense. Like they probably will get more money from this than they would releasing a new one, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
At least on the Switch life cycle. And so it's going to be 8 courses released at a time over 6 waves. So that's a total of 48 courses by the end of 2023. Looks like it's $25 USD. I think that's for the whole pack for all the
Yeah.
waves, not just for one. So pretty good price. The first wave comes out March 18th, so that's pretty soon. I'll be talking about that on. Once again, this weekend's so jam packed. I'll try and play them and talk about it next week, but might not get the chance. Oh wait, no, it's February. No, March is next month. I'll have a chance to play that. Getting my wires crossed here. I'll have a chance hopefully to play those and talk about those on the side quest as well. And then lastly, these are included on the expansion pass, so the N64 expansion pass, which they had the Animal Crossing DLC there. They're also putting there, so just more value. I think now it's kind of a no-brainer to get the expansion pack, at least for me personally, to get the N64 games, to get that Animal Crossing DLC, and to get this. So yeah, that's a lot that I just talked about there, but I think this is great. Do you have Mario Kart on the Switch?
Yes, actually, Shay and I picked it up like
Nice.
fairly recently, honestly,
Cool.
like maybe a month or so ago. We've been getting really ham into it. We were battling out just yesterday. We had like some of the closest matches. Like it's always like first and second, and like she had just hit me with back-to-back red shells. I was literally on the finish line, and then
Oh.
she just crossed it, and it was tempers were flaring. So we are like in just peak Mario Kart mood. So when I saw this, I was just so pumped. I sent it to her,
Nice.
and she just got super jazzed. It's honestly so amazing because like I said, like we're not even done all the courses on all the different CCs, and then now just knowing that there's 48 new courses coming in like the
Yeah.
next year and a bit, so that is fantastic. This is day one for us. We're going to
Hmm.
be playing this and
Nice.
having lots of
Yeah,
fun.
it's
I
great price
I
too, man.
Oh, absolutely. And yeah, like my favorites Mario Kart was Double Dash, so just getting to do those old school maps and all the other ones that they showcase. It looked amazing.
Hmm.
I haven't played all the Mario Karts, so a lot of the maps will actually be like very
Right.
fresh for me, and yeah, it's going to be so much fun. This is such a great idea. Like you said, like even just from a business-wise decision, like they're going to make
Yeah.
so much money off this. So very very smart. And yeah, like I'm one that we just recently picked it up. The game came out with the release of the Switch, didn't it? Which was what, 2017 or something
Pretty
like that.
close to it, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and like it's such a great game. Like it doesn't feel outdated or anything. It runs
Hmm.
absolutely amazing on the Switch. So I'm very excited to just get more content for it.
Yeah. This is pretty exciting for me. I think because I picked up the game originally on Wii U and I played a lot of it, like unlocked everything, and then I eventually picked up the game on Switch because someone wanted to play at some point, and then like I just didn't really play that much because I had like played the game
Yeah,
for tons of hours on the Wii U, and it just wasn't an opportunity, especially with COVID era, like just not having tons of people over to play games. So I just like haven't played it that much. Recently played it, which was fun. We had a little online tournament with Muds and some of her friends. That was fun. We
nice.
kind of got rocked, but this is a motivation to get back in there and train up. But
Totally.
yeah, like I was thinking like, man, I spent another $80 on this game. Like I don't know if I'm really getting my value out of it. But this is great. Like here's some more content finally. And yeah, they go so hard with the remakes of the maps from the old games. Like obviously visually, it's like a full update. They add like kind of because in Mario Kart 8 there's kind of like the hovering mechanic and
Yeah.
there's underwater sections, and so they like retroactively add those into some of the old maps if it makes sense, which is really cool. And new music, the visuals are just amazing. So this is great. Like they go so hard with these maps that I don't need new ones. And like you said, I haven't played every Mario Kart either, so there's going to be a couple in here that are going to be completely new. And then from the ones they showed, I didn't do a deep dive, but they showed, I think it's called Choco Mountain from the Nintendo 64 one. I love that map. That's like one of my favorites. So I'm really glad that that's, I think, in the first wave. And yeah, I can't wait, man. 48 courses is so fucking many. Like that
Yeah.
is insane. And that's going to be cool. Like every Nintendo Direct from here on out probably is going to have, here's your next batch of courses, here's a release date. So it's kind of like the new Smash, which, was something like every Direct, that was the biggest thing for me, is like, who's the new character? When are they coming
Right.
out? And now it's going to be like, when's the new courses coming out and what day? So that's good for them as well. And then, yeah, once again, like they're just making that expansion pass really hard to not pick up. So this was amazing. Great choice for them to do it this way. And we just have one more game here, which is Xenoblade Chronicles 3. This was, they recently, I think they did like kind of a up-res sort of thing for Xenoblade Chronicles 2, which I think that came out 2 years ago at this point. I think, and then Xenoblade Chronicles 1 is also playable on the Switch, so you can play the whole trilogy. This game's coming out in September, and it looks really good to me. Honestly, it looks like I don't know if I could really differentiate it from the second one, other than like some new characters that I haven't seen before. I don't really know much about these games, so I think this is where I'm maybe not too knowledgeable, and I can't really go too much of a deep dive. But it looks cool. I'm glad that it's coming out. I just don't think I have too much to add, but I think maybe when this game comes out, I'll try and find a Xenoblade expert and bring them on the podcast to talk about it, because that's just not me. And I think these games are quite long, and I'm usually pretty weary of games that have a very long runtime.
Yeah.
Just because I'd rather play, 5 shorter games in this one game's runtime kind of thing. So I don't know. I think you're maybe in the same boat. I don't know if you're much of a Xenoblade guy, but what did you think of this trailer?
No, yeah, it's a universe which I knew it was like very expansive. I my only experience is through Smash. I think once I kind of was, I don't know, went on Google. I'm like, what is this? What is this world, Xenoblade Chronicles? And just seeing the trailer here, I'm like, yeah, this looks so like huge scale of the world, of maybe just like the villains they're fighting, and just so much going on where I'm like, I'm not even gonna dare like, attempt to dive into this, because this is like jumping into Final Fantasy for the first time or something. Like I feel like there's just
Mhm.
gonna be so much thrown at you. Um, yeah, it looks great, but I definitely won't be jumping into this if I had unlimited time.
Yeah.
Maybe, but no, that's unfortunately not the case.
Yeah, if you had the time stone. Yeah, sorry to the Xenoblade fans if you were hoping for a deep dive.
Yes.
I can't be. I'm not going to try and fake it. I don't know anything about these games, other than I've played. I love Shulk in Smash. He's like one of my favorite characters to play. He's got such a cool moveset. So, I think someday I'll play these games, but I don't know if that'll be this year. We'll see. I mean, September. I don't think there's anything else currently announced for that month. So maybe if it's a slow month, maybe I'll decide to pick it up. But I don't know. I'm sure there's going to be a lot going on in September, as these things usually get announced in the summer. So I don't know if I'll have the bandwidth for that one.
Yeah.
Uh, so that's the Nintendo Direct. I loved it. I think it was just great from start to finish. A lot of great stuff in there. Some big surprises, some fun old stuff, some good remakes. A lot of great stuff. And yeah, I think we've kind of covered it all. And let's take another quick break. We'll come back. We'll get into Sifu. And we are back. It is time, Kirklin, to talk about Sifu. This is the latest game from Slow Clap, who I think most notably did Absolver, which was not a huge game by any means, but at least put them on the map. And here they are making Sifu, which is out on PS4, PS5, and PC. It is a kind of martial arts, very combat-focused revenge story, I would say. And yeah, we have not really talked about this game at all, maybe other than a couple little hints or some smiles, or maybe you heard my brief thoughts on it last week on the episode. But Kirkland, I want to start with you. Maybe we'll keep it non-spoilery. I don't think I have too much to spoil, to be honest. But what are your overall thoughts? Well, I guess you're playing on PS5. We should make that clear, right? I guess how long have you played? If you have an estimate, I don't think PlayStation tracks that stuff. So what is your guess of how long you've played? And then what are you thinking so far?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. Probably like 8 hours or something
Okay.
like that in. This was a game from like when I saw the first gameplay, I just knew it was in it was just the type of game for me. I absolutely love like the Arkham and Middle Earth games where it's just waves of enemies and like a lot of parrying and just counters, and it's not necessarily like the most difficult gameplay, and that's honestly what I thought going into this game. I'm like, oh yeah, this is just gonna be
Yeah.
like I'm John Wick just kicking ass in here, and it's gonna be so much fun. And I was completely surprised by like the actual depth of the difficulty in this game, and that's completely like, in the positive sense. I feel like it's the type of game that is so approachable to so many different people. Like it's really easy to just get in there and have fun with, but I also feel like
Whoa.
I
I don't
feel
know if
like
I agree with that one. Okay, keep going, keep going.
I feel like it gives you all the tools to like actually like progress in the game. And there was a period where I'm like, oh man, I feel like this game's gonna be too easy, and I'm just gonna gear through it. And then I got completely humbled fairly early on in the game, and I'm like, oh, okay, this game has so much layers to it, and it's so much more than I think what's shown on the surface. Um, the story is like very, very it's not too like deep or anything like that, but I think it's just like it's just shown at least in the intro like so well, where it's not setting you on like a 10-minute cutscene to like understand why you have to track down these people. It's like, okay, it's showcased to you very early on what the motivations of the main character are. Now go do it. And it's so like I think my favorite thing about the game is that or one of my favorite things about the game is that it just cuts out all that cutscene types things, and it just gets you right into the gameplay. And then it's just, you enter it and you're just like a little Padawan that just is so so I don't know, basic when it comes to like their move sets and things. And it's the type of game where maybe I can compare it to something like Dark Souls a bit, where you really feel the rewards of like putting in the time to get better at the game, and you just feel so much better when when you're like being able to get through something that maybe you thought was impossible at one period. And at least that was my experience. I haven't beaten the game yet. I'm not sure if you have or not, but
No.
yeah, there's it's a type of, like I said, like it got to a point where I'm like, oh man, I thought this game was gonna be easy, and it's so much harder than what I was expecting. But I don't think it's impossible. I, like I said, like it gives you like a training type thing that you can use where you can actually put on bots with like different just different settings and stuff you can put on them, which is awesome. And yeah, I love the art style. I love all the combat moves. The more I played it, there was some cons that came up for me a little bit more. But yeah, my overall thoughts, I absolutely love this game. I really hope they keep going like slow clap with this series, or maybe just do something very similar. Like, I don't know, just having this similar gameplay, but just expanding upon it and making it that much better. It's it's phenomenal in my eyes. I think it's such a great entry. Because Absolver was a PvP only, I believe. I think this is
I think that was kind of the big selling point of it. I don't know if there was single player to it, actually. I'm not sure.
Yeah, so I thought it was just PvP. So if this is their first single player entry, I think they did an outstanding job. Like the AI is really clean, and it feels really fun. And yeah, no, I think the system with the aging is so great. Just seeing your character like age as you just get absolutely decimated. It's one where, yeah, no, you got to put in the time and the work to get better at it, but it definitely is rewarding when you get there. And I just feel like I feel like Jason Bourne, just like taking on like waves after waves of enemies, and when you actually like survive it, you just feel so great. But it's not easy. Well, yeah, I don't know. That's my initial thoughts.
Right.
We can talk about the specific things after I get your thoughts.
Yeah. So I'm playing on PS4, and I'm probably I've probably played for maybe 5 hours,
Okay.
maybe a little bit more than that. I was away for a few days without my PlayStation, so I couldn't really play much over the weekend. But yeah, and also, so we we talked about the Metacritic scores. The PS4 version was like 9 points lower than the PS5.
Yeah.
Which maybe that's meaningless. Maybe it's not. I don't really know where that would come from, because there hasn't been like any frame rate drops to me. It seems to. I think it's at 60 frames. It seems like it, at least, and it doesn't even drop as far as I can tell. Even in like sequences of lots of enemies, and the load times aren't bad. So I don't really know where that discrepancy comes from. So I'd be curious to hear someone who's played both versions and to see if there is like a noticeable drop in quality. But at least I could not notice that. But I'm really glad you're here, because I'm not going to use the H word, but I strongly dislike this game. I really, really don't like it. I honestly don't think I'm going to play it again after this. I feel like I've played it enough in those 5.5 hours.
Interesting.
I was going to get this game physical, because I just didn't know. Didn't know how much I was going to like it. And they didn't have physical coming out until like May. So I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm getting digital. And that sucks, because I would have gladly returned to this game. It is not my vibe at all. I don't have a problem with the difficulty. Okay, it is hard game, and I'm getting wrecked. And I'm not doing very well. I like the age mechanics and the way that ties into the difficulty. I don't think my problem is with the difficulty. I think my big problem with the game is what to me is really bad tutorialization. To me, I guess the training mode is not something I've used enough of. But to me, there's just certain things like dodging in that 5.5 hours has never felt good for me. It feels inconsistent to me, and I'm obviously just missing something that the game hasn't really taught me very well. There's like this left trigger kind of power attack thing that you do. I never understood how that worked until I talked to a friend. He's like, oh yeah, you got to like hold the button and then like move the control sticks in a certain way and then hit the other thing, and then like it only works in a certain range. The game, like, I don't know, I think you do it in that opening sequence, but it's like very set up and like so you can't fail. But I like never really understood how to use it, and that's like a huge tool. And like I don't know, I just feel like there's certain enemy types that like there's one enemy that just like will dodge or block like everything you do, and I just really don't know what I'm supposed to do to actually get a hit on them. Like it seems like I'll get a hit in the exact same way twice, and one time it'll work, one time it won't. And yeah, I just don't feel like the game is teaching me how to use its various mechanics very well. And then there's just a lot of repetition. You are
Mm-hmm.
going through the same levels over and over again. You're getting some shortcuts here and there, but there are large sequences that you can never skip. You have to do them over and over again. And, like for example, then the second level is like a club that you're going into. And the first time you go into this club and there's like, I don't know, 12 enemies there, and it's fucking intense, and I got wrecked. And then I came back and I did a little bit better. By the third time, I was like, okay, I'm only dying like once or twice here. And then maybe 4 or 5 times, I'm like, okay, I'm not dying at all. But then I'm there for the 10th time in a row, 12th time in a row, still not dying at all. It's like, man, I feel like I've proved myself. Like, why do I have to keep doing this? Why do I have to waste like, I don't know how long it is. Let's say 5-10 minutes every time to do this. And there's a lot of that where you're replaying these same sequences over and over again. The boss fights are difficult, but rather than a game that has a difficult boss fight where you can keep trying over and over again, you have to go through all this sluggish combat sequences where you have to do these big fights over and over again. You have to go all through all these rooms again, and even though there is some shortcuts, there's just a lot of stuff you can't skip. And I'm just bored, man. I think the worst thing for me is you mentioned that like in games like this, when you finally overcome that boss, maybe you get through that club scene, there's like this cathartic feeling of like, oh shit, I did it. You get pumped. I haven't had any of that. When I finally beat like this boss that I've been struggling with, I get like the slightest of dopamine hits, but it just like, I don't know. I'm just like not motivated to keep going. I just don't care enough. And it's really unfortunate because there's a lot of great mechanics in here. I think haven't talked about this yet, but I love the aesthetics, like the game visually. I love the art style. It's kind of simplistic in a way, but it fits really well. And the music's amazing. But yeah, I really, really dislike this game. I think it has a lot of problems. And, I admit that like I am not good at it. And that is a problem. Although I don't think my problems come from it inherently being a difficult game. And I'm down to Spelunky 2 is like my third favorite game of all time. That's like one of the hardest games that exist. So I don't think my problem is that it's like difficulty. I think it's just the way the game teaches you and repeats the same content over and over again. So I think that's for me my kind of overall thoughts. I'd think we're so divisively different on this, obviously, but so maybe people should get some other opinions to decide if they want to buy it. I cannot recommend this game at its current price, obviously, and I think if you think you would struggle with the difficulty, then maybe think twice. Maybe if they had a demo, that would be cool, so people could try it out and see what they think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't recommend this game personally, and I think, I'm a Souls fan, and I would not recommend this game to like Souls fans, people looking for that challenge, just because I don't think this game is nearly as good as those games. So I personally don't know who I recommend this for. Like, but I'm surprised that you have thought it's like easy in some places or are not having much trouble with it. So I don't know. Like, what level are you on? I should ask.
I was on the
or like which number? Like
what's it called? The museum.
The first, second,
so
third?
the third one. The third one.
Okay.
I was making through the museum ones, and then like
I'm still working my way through the second one.
The club, that one took me, and honestly, there was many sections where I was just getting pissed off because it's like, okay, I'm doing really well here, and then I just get murked by the same guy like 4 times, and then my death counter is like 8, and I'm like, well, I can't just progress like this. I'm gonna have to restart now. And then like going through those same sections again, it definitely gets frustrating. I feel like it's a game that you can't just sit down and grind like constantly. Like I had to take breaks.
You gotta take breaks, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. But like I don't know, like when I was able to go through the first section and just make it through without dying, like it was one of the most satisfying things ever. And like the end boss fight was just so intense. I remember just getting absolutely fucked up like by his flying kicks and everything like that. And then eventually I'm just like dodging all of his attacks. And then especially like I love the way that you're able to upgrade your character with like those dragon statues, and then you can put in points on like I get more health back if I take down people. I feel like that forced me to play a lot more passively, and it made me a lot more patient. I was able to read people's attacks a lot better. Honestly, like leaning into the weapons too, that is such a game changer. It made it so much easier to just like break down people's stagger bar. You can make it so your weapons are more durable. They do more damage to the stagger bar. So once I was kind of experimenting more with just like the different play styles, the different combos too, I was leveling up different things in the skill tree that I found were just so much more effective. Just taking down like 3 people with like a single like flying kick or something, it just felt really, really good for me. And I think like the biggest thing is just Like yeah, I was getting very frustrated with like some of those one-on-one battles, but when there's just like a group of like people, like that one section when you walk in the club and like the music's blasting, there's just so many people around, and then they just like all start swarming you, and you're
Yeah.
just like blocking 3 people at once, and then you're just dodging. Like that's just so fun to me. That's one of my favorite things about Batman Arkham, you know, when there's just groups of goons swarming you and you're just getting like the perfect parry timers. That one's a lot easier. It just like shows you when
Yeah.
to
Well, you only
block.
need one button too instead of like a button plus the
Exactly.
stick. Yeah.
Yeah, no, but like honestly, like I found I got into a good flow of being able to bounce between the parry, the dodge, like the feint as well, and just like and just like even breaking someone's attack, like where if you give them like a quick jab while they're going for a heavy hit, you just like hard counter them. And I think it really um it really took me to the next level, like spending time in that tutorial type area, like with the training dummies and stuff like that, because you're able to just focus on a type of enemy that you might be struggling with a lot. 100%, I can totally understand this isn't a game for everyone. I have quite a few friends actually that picked this up, which I was surprised about, and it's like 50-50. Some
Right.
of them are loving it, some of them are really really not digging it. I think what would have been really smart for them to do is to kind of like what we were talking about with like Live Alive, where you can choose like which one you go through. Like I don't think you should be able
Yeah.
to like not access those later levels if you don't make it
Right.
to it. Like I get it. One argument's like, well, you got to earn to get there. You know, like you got to feel like you're actually growing as a Sifu, as a kung fu
Yeah.
master. But I feel like a lot of people are just unfortunately not going to be able to experience like these different levels, because the levels are really really cool designed. I love the art style on
Yeah.
all of them really. Just
Let's because I mean spoiler wise, like
yeah.
I obviously I'm on the second level. You're on the third. So and I think I'm guessing there's 6 based on like the mob
Yeah.
bosses whatever that you're trying to knock out. So or around that number. So I think we'll just at this point we'll just open it up. Like we'll talk about anything. So if you don't like to hear anything about a game other than what we just talked about, like go ahead. But yeah, I think we'll open that up now and can talk about more specific stuff. But
Yeah.
so anyway, yeah, you can talk. Nah, just in case anyone want to
Right.
give them that warning. But yeah, if you want to talk about the individual levels or like that, you were about to mention like the look of a level. I think.
Yeah, well, like, yeah. Since you've experienced like the club area, I just love like it's just a dance club, and then at one point it just becomes like a fight club type situation,
Yeah.
and you're going through like the different trials. Like that one hallway that you're walking down was just like dark, and it has the neon lights that are just like pulsating. It just really really unique levels in my opinion. It dances on that line of like fantasy and just like realism, where
Yeah.
it just
Very
gets really
colorful.
trippy.
And
And yeah, no,
neon. Yeah.
I absolutely love that. It's just I feel like such a badass kung fu master. I must say too, now that we're in like the spoilery section, one of the best intros to a game in my opinion. Like it was so badass of just like it starts the game, you're just a character moving through, you're just fighting characters. You have no idea who you are, you have no idea what your
Mm-hmm.
goal is, and then when it gets to the end and it's revealed like you are the villain and then you killed like your father, and then it goes like the gender selection, and I thought it was just so
Yeah.
badass. It just felt like I was watching a badass kung fu movie, and it
I agree. I
was it
like
was
the intro, and
epic.
it was short too. Like it
Yeah,
was.
exactly.
It doesn't. It maybe takes 15 minutes from the time you boot up the game to finish that, or even less.
Yeah.
And not tons of cutscenes that you're sitting there for dialogue and stuff too. I think
And
yeah, it sets up the vibe perfectly for a revenge tale, and maybe it's not the most. I think it's cool that you play as the villain in that intro sequence. They didn't need to do that, I think, but they did, and it adds to it. So that's cool.
100%, and then it shows you who the main villains are, and then as soon as like that section is over, and then it shows your characters doing like the montage section, which is just so badass, and then you fight like the shadow versions of them. Like it just shows you who the villains are right there, and it's so clever, because then you can kind of get ready for what their move sets are kind of gonna be, or are gonna be like, right? And it's a lot easier in that little tutorial section. You don't have a health
Yeah.
bar or anything like that. But I remember like the first time I played through like the intro, and then like that CEO chick with like the little like blade thing that was on a string, and she was just swinging around. She was like fucking me up in like the dream sequence. I'm like, this is gonna be hard when I eventually
Yeah.
get there, and I haven't even gone there yet. So
Yeah.
yeah, I luckily like I haven't lost that magic for it. Like I do want to keep coming back to it. It's gonna be one where I do really want to stick to and be able to beat it. But I'm interested in seeing what they release in future like free releases, because they mentioned they got some free
They
content
did.
coming down the
Yeah.
line, and I like, like your opinion isn't out of the ordinary. Like I've already heard other friends very similar thoughts to what you have, and just seeing things online, a lot of people are kind of upset that it's so difficult, and it doesn't allow you to experience the whole game.
Well, I
So
want
I'm
to.
just curious how they react to that.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Like I put this in our notes as well. Like Slowclap posted a blog with like tips and tricks, I guess, because they saw people were struggling with the game, and I'm all for you know the developers, having an open dialogue with their community and off like talking with people. But to me, to have to like post a blog post with tips and tricks, to me seems like a massive failing on their part of like whatever is in that blog post, like that needs to be in the game. Like you need
Yeah.
to like I'm just wondering how much playtesting they did, because if it is, we're a 50-50 split here on this podcast between the two of us. Seems like that's among your friends. I know Dante likes it. Last week he was really into it, so this is a positive person. And then from what I've seen, I haven't seen too much chatter online, but it seems like people kind of are wavering between really enjoying it and really not liking it. Not a lot of people sitting in the middle. And I think that's like probably a sign that, I don't know, maybe they should have done more playtesting, and maybe they should have realized that people were going to struggle with this. And if they wanted to make a really challenging game and a game that you have to figure out stuff on your own, that's cool. But I think maybe the numbers are a bit skewed, where people are more people are having trouble like understanding the game systems. And if that was the case, maybe you're getting hit in this particular way a lot. Maybe there could be a tooltip or something that could pop up and tell you like, oh, you're doing this thing wrong, or you're straight up not realizing there's this mechanic in the game because, well, they don't have to say it's because we didn't show it or teach you, or maybe they did quickly, but then they showed it once and then it doesn't pop up for an hour later, so you kind of forget about that thing. And if people want, they can opt out of that stuff. They can turn that off in the settings. Like, I don't want any help. I just want to figure it out myself. But then other people who aren't understanding it based on what the game is giving them will have that opportunity. So I don't know. I think there needed to be a little bit more going on there in terms of them teaching the game. Like for example, like that L2 special attack, like not I can't even recall when it's shown in the game. I think maybe in that intro sequence, but
Probably the intro,
it didn't make
yeah.
any sense to me. It's very unintuitive. You hold a button. It only works when they're very close to you. You hold a button, and then you move the sticks or one of the sticks in a very specific angle, and then you hit another button. Like, that's really weird. Like, no game does that. That's very strange. Maybe like some Nintendo, like Metroid had weird button stuff too, because Nintendo is weird with that kind of thing. But I think, and for me, it's like the dodging. The dodging just doesn't feel intuitive in any way, and I've played however many games I've played in my life, and it doesn't feel good. Like, that's a bad thing. And I could be an outlier in some of these things, of course, but it sounds like other people maybe are in there too. Let's see, where do I want to move next? Let's talk about the age mechanic, because this is something that I really like. I think this is a great addition to the game. I think it could be refined if they do, Sifu 2 or another game. But I think the basic concept is great, where each time that you die, you're not really dying. Each time you run out of HP, you get knocked down to the ground, and then your character ages up. So you start at 20, and then you go up to 21, and then the next time you die, your number goes to 2. So now you're going to go up to 23, and that number goes up. Eventually, it's like, up to 7 or 8. Every time you die, you're going up by that many years. And there's ways to bring that number down if you defeat certain mini bosses, or if you go to those little shrines that I forget the name of. You can also elect to do that if you have a certain XP amount, and so that brings your age down. And then when you hit, I guess, just when you're like once you're in your 70s, you can't age up again, I think is what it is. I wasn't clear if it's like when you hit 79, or if, I don't know exactly what. It seems to me like once you're 70, you can't age it, like you're done at that point. But you could be 72, you could be 75. So
yeah, because I think there is the max age. I haven't hit the max age. I've hit the final like physical age, I guess you could call it. I only know that because I got the trophy for it. It told me. I'm like, oh,
right.
okay, this is as old I'm gonna get. But like in that first playthrough, it really opened my eyes, where I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I really got to try and like keep my age low, because you just can't make it through the game, because you're gonna enter like the third level, you're gonna be like 72.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay,
So-
well, I can only die like a couple more times.
So yeah, I should explain that part. So yeah, like that that what I just said, that is true for the first level. And then as you go level 2, you're going to start from whatever age you completed the first level at,
Yeah.
and then that will carry over. I'm assuming to level 3, right? Of course.
Yep.
I haven't gotten there, but I'm assuming. And also, I will say that was unclear to me too when I was playing the game. I played through the second level, I think maybe 5 or 6 times at age 50, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, I'm not getting enough chances here to like make it far in this level. Why am I starting at age 50? And I think it's because like I probably would have picked up on it sooner if I was like 47 or something. But since I was an even 50, to me, I thought it was just like, okay, I guess the difficulty of this level is set at 50. So once again, didn't feel like that was explained very well. Eventually, I figured it out, not by the game telling me, of course, not saying like, hey, maybe you should go back to the first level, but just by figuring out. But then yeah, I went back to the first level and brought my age down to a nice ripe 29, which felt like a good point. I was like, okay, I can go from here pretty happily into the second level. Feel like I have a chance, and I have made a lot of progress in the second level, but it's a pretty long level, and like I said, like even with shortcuts, like you're still having to do a lot of encounters again. And then along with that, so the age, as you get older, you get a little bit more damage and a little bit less maximum health. It's very minimal amounts. Like I don't think it really affects. It doesn't feel to me like it's doing too much. Like it's not like when you're 70, you're just one-shotting
people. Yeah.
Like you're still, maybe you have to hit some enemies like one time less, and maybe you can get hit like one time less. So that's so yeah. But the difference between like 30 and 50, therefore, is like really small. Like you're really only noticing it from like 20 and 70 are very clearly different, but it's just, I don't know, it's so slow throughout that you're not really seeing it otherwise. And then there are certain upgrades that are bound by age, like at those altars. And then also, when you die, you can use your XP to get certain abilities, and those kind of get gated out by each decade. So you can always get the level 70 or age 70 and up, or 16 up, whatever it is, upgrades. But the level 20, like for example, if I'm going into the club at level 29, if I die once, I'm no longer able to get those ones until I reset my run. And yeah, your progress carries over. So obviously, like whatever you get in the first level, like that high score, so to speak, you keep that throughout the game. So just kind of explain that. That's how it works. I think that's pretty much it for the age mechanics. That's like how it all works. And I think that's great. I think it is really cool. I like that feeling of like, okay, I should probably go back to the first level now, get my level down. And maybe I think it'd be cool once you're at like level 4 or 5. It's like, okay, where can I actively make a difference? Like, I think I've kind of maxed out on level 1, but maybe level 3 I can do a bit better if I figure out this one boss fight or if I find this one shortcut. And so obviously I'm not far enough in the game for that really to be a strategic decision, but I think it seems like a really cool idea. And I like the idea of gating off ability upgrades by your age. I will say the skill tree for me, like, there's a couple in there that I'm like always excited to get, but otherwise there's a lot in there that I just don't really care about. And maybe that's another thing too, where that's one of my problems with the difficulty is like maybe one or two of these abilities are like crucial and I am just not getting them. And I don't know, maybe the game should once again, like say if you're struggling with this enemy, maybe they get this ability or something, because it's not very clear to me. But yeah, what do you think of these age mechanics? I think it's just such a unique system that I hope other games steal it, because you don't have to use as age, but you could have some other number system. But it's just a really cool system.
Oh, it's really cool. I think my favorite thing about it initially was just like the visual aspect of it. Like my first playthrough, I played as the girl, and I'm just like an old lady, absolutely kicking ass with my little bow staff there. And it felt so fun. I like that they do. Like they get like a different outfit as they age. Their hair looks different, and
and
just
then
their physical appearance.
your charm like slow. You can see the difference.
Slowly
of your charm
goes
too,
away,
which is
and
cool.
I think that's really cool. I think it fits the theme of what the game's going for. You can always see the charm too, so when you're like on your last legs, you got like 2 charms left. No, all that stuff's really cool. I think that there maybe should have been like a bigger hit for the damage and the health decrease as you age, because it's not that noticeable. I 100% agree with what you said there. And as for the skill tree, there's a couple that I pretty much go through every single time. I think on my last instance of like trying to redo the club level, for example. I was kind of experimenting with some other ones, but I also just found myself kind of navigating towards the other ones, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not the greatest skill tree. It's a skill tree. It's nothing I haven't seen before. I like how you kind of lose certain ones if you age too much.
Yep.
Again, it just gives you more incentives to really try and keep that age as minimum as possible. Um,
And the ones for
and
age 20 are like really good. From what I can tell, I haven't used a ton of them once again because I'm in level 2 and
yeah,
I'm age 29, getting in there at first. And they're like the XP cost on them is really expensive. But that, once again, that seems interesting. Those like artificially I could go back and get those and try and grind XP in the first level and try and get those. But
hmm
realistically, it's something you'd I think kind of come back and do later once you're
a
more
lot
expert with the
better.
game, or
Yeah.
maybe you've got some more other skills permanently. Because yeah, each time you die, once again you like lose all your skills unless you've got them 5 times, and then you get them permanently. So yeah, I haven't gotten any permanent ones yet. I think I'm close to the what is it called, like the snap kick or something, where you fly
Oh
forward. And
yeah, I
I love
like
that
that one.
one. I think I'm pretty close to getting like the permanent upgrade on it, but otherwise you lose your stuff. So you can at least you can try different builds, but then if you like something, eventually you'll get it permanently, and then you can kind of essentially save XP because you're not having to buy it every time. But once again, that takes time, and it takes quite a long time. Like still in 5 hours, I don't have anything permanently upgraded. Once again, could because I'm bad at getting my combos and my XP count high, but that's at least been my experience with it so far.
Yeah, I feel like I've gone through a couple different periods of like at first I'm just experiencing the game like this is amazing, and then after that I'm like okay, let's try and get like a lot lower age, let's try and keep it as low as possible, and then now I feel like on like my third playthrough there I experienced where I'm like oh my god, I should be trying to get my like multiplier up, like I'm just getting hit all the
Yeah.
time, and then when I was really getting it up there it was just a whole nother experience too, actually being able to get a lot higher XP in the levels because I don't know. For me, I think I was just able to focus in on like little things that I was able to find to improve myself. But no, a lot of the complaints that you are bringing up, they're totally warranted. Of just kind of forcing you to replay through the same sequence like over and over again just to progress to the next one, and then you're
Hmm.
doing the next one even more. Like I can only imagine how many times I'm gonna have to go through like the fourth level when I eventually get through the third level. So
Yeah.
it's a grind, and again, I'm very interested in seeing how Slow Clap reacts to just the audience's reaction, the players'
Hmm.
reactions to the game.
Yeah, it's tricky because if they do, because we should mention this maybe that there is not a difficulty slider or setting. Like there's a one set difficulty, and that's why a lot of people are going to find that a lot easier than other people. And I don't know. Like I think if you add difficulty modes in there and the game gets too easy, then it kind of defeats the purpose. So they're kind of damned if they do, damned if they don't. I feel like in a sense, but maybe there is some tweaking they could do
Yeah,
or a new mode. And honestly, if they do add an easier mode, I would probably jump back into the game and try it just to see if I can get through the rest of the game, and then maybe it's enjoyable, or maybe it's too easy then, and then I don't even care, and then I don't want to play. We'll see. Or maybe I just need to sit on that easier difficulty for a few hours to get more familiar with the game, and then I can crank it back up, which is something that I like to do in other games. So one other thing too is you don't have a skill tree in this game. It's like just a selection of different skills. But I like that in the base, if you when you're back from a mission, you
mm-hmm.
can use your XP, and it's literally a skill tree. It's a tree in your like backyard that you go up
Yeah,
and activate. So I don't think I've ever seen a game do that. It's a simple like I don't know, just visual joke, I suppose, and I liked it. I thought that was fun,
clever.
kind of
Yeah,
funny. Yeah.
100%.
Um, let's see. I guess so. Talking about the levels, I think the use of shortcuts is really cool, and I don't know if I would. I don't know if I want more of them necessarily. Like I said, like some encounters, I'm feeling like, okay, I've done this a lot of times. I've proved myself, and I'm feeling a little bit bored of the repetition here. But at the same time, that's built into the difficulty of like getting XP and stuff. Is that you got to go through these encounters again to get your XP and your combo counter up, obviously. So
Mm-hmm.
once again, like they've gone for a very intentional design here with everything, the way it's all interconnected, and it's just not working for me, unfortunately. But so it's hard for them to like adjust. I think if just adjust one thing, it throws off the balance of a lot of stuff. So I think it'll be tricky for them if they do try and respond to these critiques of difficulty and how they I guess just how they choose to address it, because they could add more shortcuts. They could make XP easier to get. They could add less enemies. Like, they could do so many different things. They could make it so your max age is 100. I don't know. Like, they could do a lot of different ways to fix it, and it would be really hard to see the clockwork of it, and if that actually solves the problem, or if it's once again just like a band-aid issue. But I like the use of shortcuts. I think it's cool. It incentivizes you as you're going through levels to actually explore and try and find little details and look around. Other than that, I don't think I have too much to say. The first level is pretty basic in terms of its style, but I like it. It's kind of just like you're going through apartment buildings, things like that, and then you kind of, as you're getting closer to the boss, who's this, what is his name? The gardener?
Botanist.
The botanist, right? Yeah, so it kind of gets more overgrown and whatnot, and then in his room, it's just a full-on, just plants everywhere, grass all up at the wall, and then, he takes you to this kind of other realm where there's bamboo trees and whatnot. And the second level, like you said, it does get quite trippy in the club where you're going through certain rooms or hallways, and like the lights will turn off, and then like something happens, and then you're in this burnt down city. So it's quite trippy. Once again, like that's cool the first time. The second time you go through, it's not as surprising anymore, but you still have to go through it and see those sequences again. That's fine. There's not like long cutscenes or anything, but I like the level design. I think it's cool. And I just, once again, that's one of my issues with the difficulties, not enough checkpoints. But overall, I like the design of levels, and I like the use of shortcuts and how it's kind of maybe surprising in a way, like what doors open and what ones don't for shortcuts. So I like the design of the levels generally. Not like they're pretty linear. Obviously, when you get shortcuts, you can go different ways, but generally pretty linear. But I think it works for this game.
100%. Yeah, I definitely found myself thinking like certain areas where they could have improved, and honestly, I hope like the developers Slow Clap are able to like grow from this experience of doing this game and take these like people's criticisms with things that they don't really like and things that they do like, and then moving forward just fix them and make an even better entry if they do happen to do Sifu 2 or whatever their next entry is going to be. Because I don't know, like Absolver, when that came out, it was definitely on my radar, but it just seemed like a type of game that had just such a high skill cap that I would just I'm like, I don't want to try and get good at this game. I'm just gonna go on YouTube and watch like two pros like battle it out, and it just looks absolutely epic. And then the second one really hit home for me, honestly. Like I really liked it. I feel like even if I never make it through the game, with the amount of enjoyment I've had already, it definitely was worth it for me. So I hope again that they just grow from the experience and move it forward. Because they seem to be awesome at doing their hand-to-hand combat games, and it seems to be like a passion of theirs. So it's really awesome. But there's definitely a lot of areas that I think they can improve, and that's speaking from someone that actually really enjoys the game. So I can only imagine if you're having like a really hard time getting through it, it can definitely be a lot more frustrating. But again, I'm just very intrigued on how they react in the next few days or weeks moving forward to the game, because they made that statement that they're adding a lot of free content, which is always awesome. Free is a great dollar price.
Sure
and I'm just intrigued if they add, I don't know if maybe they do have a paid DLC for like more story stuff, or if they have like different challenge rooms. And then again, just adding maybe
multiplayer. Maybe they look into doing something
exactly. They've done Absolver. We know they can do that. So, and it seems like a type of game where a lot of the characters have similar, if not the same, move sets that you could really do. So I think it could translate very well to something like multiplayer, which I mean that's a big part of Dark Souls, right? Whereas like every character kind of has like the same tools, depending on like what your weapon is and stuff like that, and it translates easy to online with some obviously janky weapons and exploits that people do online. But I'm optimistic on it. Definitely over the 50% positive in my eyes. So that's great.
I think I've talked about mechanically everything I had to say. Story-wise, I mean, it seems like a basic revenge story for me now, and I'm just not far enough in to really comment. Like, and it's not like you get like these big long monologues from these bosses or anything like that. Like, it's pretty simplistic, and a lot, not even a lot of dialogue just in the combat sequences. Generally, so I don't think I have too much to comment on the story at this point. I will say I like the idea of you kind of have like a heist board. It's not really like you're piecing things together and trying to solve something. Instead, it's more just like when you get a new shortcut figured out, or you, I don't know, learn some detail about a level, it like will go on there. So that's a cool way to compile information. I don't know, like I really haven't looked at it in a couple hours worth of gameplay, just because like there's nothing really on there that helps
Yeah.
you learn anything about how to beat this boss. It's kind of just world building, which but that's great for me because it's optional. World building is a great thing to have. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a cool visual. And yeah, I think I've pretty much said everything I have to say. That was you kind of gave like a nice final thoughts. It sounded like there, but anything
Yeah.
else you want to add? I'm guessing you're not going to put a number on this yet, considering you're not done the game, but maybe
No.
you do.
No, definitely not. I'll have to progress a little bit farther in, and
Yeah.
but yeah, no, it's one where, like I said, like I'm super positive on it, and there were still moments where I was absolutely pissed off, and I just felt like throwing my controller.
That's good.
So I'm like, this is
I love when that
absolute
happens.
bullshit. And then, I come crawling back, and then I actually get through that area, and it just I felt great. And then I felt absolutely terrible a few minutes later because I just found it an even harder area.
That was me with Metroid Dread recently, where that final boss, like holy shit, I was so angry at one point, but then when I finally did it, I'm like popping off in my living room. So yeah, I'm glad this game is working for you and for Dante and some of your friends and for a lot of people it is working. So a divisive game. I'm curious to hear where people are thinking about this game like a few months from now, and I don't know if the conversation has shifted at all. But Kirklin, thanks for joining me. This has been a long episode, longer than I was expecting, but we had a full meaty direct plus a full review to do. So thank you for joining me on this one.
Yeah, thanks
anything
so much for
you want
having me.
to shout out or plug on our exit here?
Not really. Go check out GV Podcast. That's where you can hear me talking about all sorts of things. And no, it's been an honor. Thanks so much for having me on here. And it's always fun talking video games with you. You 2 hours is probably like our shortest episode, honestly, that you and I have done. We usually go to the wee hours.
Quest shorter. I'm trying to be a little more.
It's probably for the best.
Yeah,
100%. But no, lots of fun. It was so much fun breaking down. You broke my. Or you didn't, but broke my Nintendo Direct virginity.
Yeah,
that was that was fun getting experience there, and yeah, no, a lot of exciting things to come, and it's great talking with you.
Yes, thanks for joining me once again. Next week is Horizon Forbidden West. Get your questions in. Check out GV on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Patreon for episodes early and ad free. The GV Discord, of course, great place to hang out. Kirklin is on Twitter at KirklinPatzer. I'm on Twitter at Dylan Muss. Thank you to Amanda for the music. Here it is, and we'll see you next week. Bye, everyone.
Peace.